Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Greetings, everybody. How are you doing out there? Welcome to Midnight Session Morning. I'm Tom Connors. With me today is the boss man, Andre. How you doing?
Greetings, everyone. I am doing excellent. So happy a new week has begun, and I get to start it with this awesome panel right here.
Excellent. We have 6 with us this morning. How you doing?
Good morning. It's a beautiful snowy morning, and I can't find where I packed my winter gloves last year, so my hands are a little chapped because I'm too cheap to buy new ones. But other than that, I'm doing well.
Excellent. We also have with us Script Doctor. How you doing?
Doing well, trying to stay warm. No snow here, but lots of frost.
Excellent. We also have with us Culture Casino. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Good morning. Welcome to Monday, November 27th. It's almost the end of the month, and I'm very excited.
Tell me about it. We also have with us Chris Gore. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's 40 degrees in Pasadena, California. My hands are chapped for different reasons.
Need some Jergens over there, huh?
There you go.
Yep.
And an old sock.
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
Ew.
What else is chapped? My
What?
goodness.
Anyway, also joining us is Mr. Paul Chato.
Yep,
How
the
you
only time I ever see chaps was when I went to the Barn Tavern on Jarvis Street. So
All chaps are assless, right, Chato?
that's the best kind. The best kind. You sounded, your intro culture sounded like the intro to Good Morning Vietnam. That was,
Oh yeah, I should work on that.
you should.
Oh.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be here. I'm very happy. I went to the indoor driving range and actually figured out how my driver works. So I was like, that's my top of the week. Like, I got some good drives off in the indoor range.
That's a good start.
It is. It's a good feeling because I couldn't figure it out.
Excellent.
Drivers
All
are
right.
horrible.
Yes, we are. We have a cast in the audience as well here. We have some regulars and hopefully some new people as well. Hit that like button, share out the link, let everybody know that we're live.
That's great. Is
we
Russell
have-
Crowe watching us again?
Probably.
Yeah.
We have Dr. Long Dongler here who sends in a £1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. I'm imagining it's a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't
It
already. In appreciation for Dr. Long Dongler. Thank you so much. We got Lover of the Green who's here with $10 super chat. Says, hey Chris, have you ever been on KCRW's The Business? It's a film news podcast ran by The Hollywood Reporter. I used to listen to it during film school, but quickly realized it was activist adjacent.
Yeah, I've never been on it. I mean, I've written for the Hollywood Reporter before, mainly festival coverage. I did a comprehensive
Festivus.
story about the Sundance Film Festival. about the origins of it, which was interesting. Yeah, no, I've never been on that show. I'm pretty like, well, I've written, like, just because I've been around so long, I've written for a lot of the trades, and I know Variety follows me. They follow a lot of people. Yeah, I don't know. I've never done that. So there you go. That's
All right.
trying to answer the question. I always feel like when there's a super chat and a question is asked of me, I feel like I'm on the witness stand, and
You are.
I need to be as thorough as possible when responding, because because someone took.
Are you sure you were never on that show? Are you sure?
Yeah, I've never been on the show. I mean, I've been.
Can
on
you
a lot
say
of
it with certainty, sir?
It's hard to expand on no.
Yeah,
But the guy gave him $10, so I know how Chris feels. He's like, I got to give this guy his money worth. Just show him a tip.
No, I feel an obligation. I feel obligated. It's like, oh, I'm on the witness stand.
Not both of them, just one. It's $10. It's not 20.
But I've been on a lot of shows, but not that one. And I do find that, like, a lot of that stuff, there's just, when it comes to the reporter variety and a lot of the mainstream trades like IndieWire, they all just come at things from a particular political viewpoint, and there's not a lot of variety. I aspire with Film Threat, and I say aspire to just be politically agnostic. So. Yeah. Or at least represent many differing points of view, because what I think Alan Ng, if you've been following Ng the Merciless on Twitter, he's on fire talking about a lot of stuff, and people are mad at him because he doesn't have the right opinions for his ethnicity. So I find that highly annoying. That and there's a movie coming out that I'll recommend, maybe we can talk about it later, called American Fiction, with Jeffrey Wright, that is fantastic. It's and it deals directly with that issue. It's about a Black author who doesn't write Black enough, according to the publishers that are who his work has been submitted. And then he literally goes to a book conference where 3 people show up to one of his panels. He's just sort of deflated and defeated that people are not responding to his work. Then he walks into a packed audience where a woman is talking about her book called I Lived in the Hood. And it's like what it's about is it's about white progressives that want Black people to be a certain way, and when they're not that way, they're not supportive. And it's
woke stuff.
It's making fun of woke stuff, because I've seen the trailer and heard the reviews are actually really, really strong.
It's really good. Alan saw it a couple weeks ago. I just saw it over the weekend. It's fantastic. Jeffrey Wright, who I've just always loved, but it just skewers all of that nonsense, and that, basically all this being pushed by white progressives. It's so funny, but it's also does it in a humorous way. It's not pushing anything in particular. It's just pointing out how ridiculous all of this has become, to the point of parody, where one of the best lines in the movie is about you know what, I'm not going to give it away. It's too good.
Don't give it away.
It's
in other words, it's exactly the movie that is needed right now.
Yeah,
because I agree. Like these white progressives, the same. Like there's a Chinese word for them. I forgot the word exactly, but it basically translates to white left. And the greatest evil,
Baizu or whatever it was.
That's the one. Thank you. The greatest evil that we have on the planet right now is the global left. They are the ideological heirs to, like those German dudes in the 40s.
Yeah, just go look at my
the
Twitter.
Ones with the racial ideas and everything like that. The ones who claim that they are so virtuous, but they are the ones that want to box everyone in. And the people in Hollywood, like some of your peers here, some of the people watching, I'm sorry, but you guys who thought you were on the right side of history, you're on the dead wrong side of history, and you need to be called out for it. And that's exactly what this movie does. I love it. I can't wait to see this movie, because this movie sticks the finger right into Hollywood's own blind spots.
Sounds good.
They try to be so unbelievably progressive, but in reality, they are regressive beyond words.
Well, there's
And
there's
Alan
something
Ing
called
can, of course,
victim
admit to that.
adjacency, where
Yeah.
you're not necessarily involved in the struggle, but by just in very minor ways supporting something like this, you now feel fulfilled and capable of being part of your intersectional group. It's similar. I remember going to a couple of parties of my very progressive friends, and there'd be one black guy, unfortunately. Not unfortunately for him, because then the conversation always ended up talking about the plight of the black people in Canada. And in both cases, these two different dudes were really pleasant. And in both cases, I sort of rescued them and said, hey, he's not representative of all the black people in Canada. Leave him alone. Like, shut up. Why are you grilling him? He's being really nice answering these questions because he's pleasant, but he should tell everyone there to fuck off. Like, leave him alone.
They treated him
have
like
the
a
punch.
zoo animal.
Yes. Like he
Yeah.
was suddenly a zoo animal. But I mean, just listening to the questions of the progressives in the room and how they wanted to be an ally, and it was like embarrassing. They didn't even see how hypocritical they were in trying to be part of his victim or applying a victimhood on him like that too. That was the other thing that was funny.
Yeah, what they're doing, they are so desperate to show how non-biased they are
Yes.
that they become supremely biased in the process of doing it. That's how they show just how bigoted they really are in their desperate attempt at deflecting from it.
Yes.
And
Alan and I are going to talk about American fiction.
It's called American Fiction.
American Fiction. Check
When's
it
it
out.
out?
Wait to see it.
I don't know when it's out, but I'll just say, Alan saw it at a film festival a couple weeks ago. So, and I watch it. I'm telling you, it's so good, and it's such a timely message.
It's an Amazon movie, so I don't even know if it's going to come to theaters or not. It doesn't have a date here.
But but also it's like what Alan has to deal with all the time. People assume based on what Alan looks like that he's going to have a certain opinion.
Sure.
And stop assuming that of anyone.
I have texted Alan several times to help me with my programming, because I just thought, since he's Asian, he must know how to program, right?
Well, we don't get Alan and I, we don't really get in fights. We disagree. He doesn't like Miyazaki films. But see, I think that's fine.
Of course.
Well, with Miyazaki's weird because it is an acquired taste. It's like it's not like traditional anime.
No. Yeah, listen, I lived for 4 years in Toronto's Chinatown, right in the center of it, and I have a good Chinese friend who will never go to have lunch with me in Chinatown because he's 4th generation Canadian. His relatives built the railways in Canada.
Oh wow.
He doesn't speak a word of Chinese. And anytime we go there, the waiters or waitresses immediately start talking to him in Chinese. And he goes, fuck off. I don't know how to play. I can't speak the language. Leave me alone.
I know someone adopted from Korea who's like that.
So anyways, he refuses to eat lunch with me in Chinatown.
Well, Alan's been on fire. I think that something.
I think it's great.
On Twitter, he's just sort of he's
tired.
Oh yeah. Just because it's like, and look, by the way, Alan's like the biggest. He's like a Disney scholar. He knows so much about Disney and the history. He's been to the Walt Disney Museum, and the fact that he didn't like Wish, it was like against. Like, how could you not like this? This Disney movie about a woman of color, and then he points out in his latest tweet. You should bring it up. Follow my pal Al on Twitter, that like Disney's had plenty of women of color in movies, in good movies. This is a woman of color in a bad movie. I don't want to speak for him, but my pal Al, give Alan a boost. He's trying to get to 69,000 followers on Twitter. So help out.
I'm following him. Yeah, and I have loved his takes on Twitter.
Yeah, he's Yeah, he's getting in more trouble than I am, and that's not easy to do.
Well,
So-
actually, it's very easy because you said it yourself. I mean, he is expected to have a certain set of opinions,
You think that's it?
and yeah, of course.
Yeah, no,
And
it
the
is.
moment he does not comply with that, the moment that he basically demonstrates that no, he is not in the box that the Baisu have placed him in, then they're going to react really, really violently to that. I mean, you see like that, like all of these people, they're all pro-women, apart from the ones that speak out against them. And they're all pro-people of color, apart from the ones that don't get with the program and speak out against them. I mean, they are...
Well, and it's beyond that. I'm learning in the last 48 hours here, they think some of the most vile shit about everybody.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They automatically think that you're a racist, sexist, homophobe, this, that, or the other. Like, that's their go-to right away.
Of
And
course,
as I
because
said, you
that's
can
what
just go
they
ahead and
are.
look at my Twitter, and that's what it's been for the last 2 days, because these guys are freaking out and projecting shit just because I said one little thing that disrupted their lives.
Yeah.
Right?
And also, here it's worth mentioning, Tom, that these guys, they cannot handle replies, can they?
Oh, fuck no. And that's why I'm sorry to anybody who got bombarded with fucking replies on my fucking Twitter. But you have these asshats will say shit, and then they'll fucking turn off the replies. And they think that's their way out of this shit. That's the other thing. They don't know how to argue. That's the other fucking part. And yeah, I know I've talked to Alan a few times about this shit, especially during the Ninja Turtle thing, because he had some great takes on that. And I tried to sync up with him to get him on the show to talk about
Twitter's
it.
nice when you can discuss something that you kind of sort of agree on, but if you're diametrically opposed, it's a complete waste of time because you're not going to move the needle.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was just funny at how I set him off just by saying one fucking thing. Didn't even tag anything or anybody. It's just cute how they...
Oh, listen,
the fuck
I
out.
ask a question of someone to clarify what they mean and they'll block me. I tend not to try to argue. I tend to ask questions and people hate that.
Yeah, because that way you can you ask them to actually justify what they just take for granted that everyone should accept unquestionably.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Where did
That's
you get
the worst
that
thing
info?
you can do to them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's quite. I love Al on Twitter.
Alan is awesome, and I
Alan
so
on.
want to get him.
Alan
get
on,
him,
yes.
On the show one of these days.
Yeah, I've been trying, but one of these days we'll sync up.
Well, he's such an unusual guy too in the movie realm, and that he's his conservative views and he's religious and not afraid to say that, and that's antithetical to Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it came to TMNT,
for him.
he actually came at it from the other angle of how they erased all the Asian culture from Ninja Turtles, and he found that really rather insulting. And I'm like,
I tremendously enjoyed his take on Barbie and the Asian Barbie in the movie. You know, the one that didn't exist.
Female Asian, a female Barbie, because a male Asian, male Barbie is not really Barbie. It's only Barbie if it's female.
Yeah. This is true. But we do have a few
more super chats, yeah,
and we have some topics to discuss today. So yeah, let's get into it. We did have one super chat from before the show. Maybe 6 can get it up on screen because I can.
He said maybe 6 can get it up on screen. I couldn't help it.
Here we have. We're back in grade 3.
Fantastic, yeah. And it's not even Friday.
I think she stepped away. She must have.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll get.
We'll come back to it. Zontar says got banned from Twitter. Speaking of, for Canadian $5. Farewell, oomfies. I'm not coming back. Anyway, Paul's script, not to get political, but ketchup or no ketchup on your pate chinos. How do you say that?
Chinois.
Pate chinois.
Yeah, Chinese pate.
Chinese pate.
Well, it's a Quebec shepherd's pie, essentially.
I was going to say, I'm not a.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, ketchup.
Yeah, it's too dry without it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting. You learn something new every day. So it's basically Canadian shepherd's pie.
Well, tortilla.
No, it's Quebecois shepherd's pie.
Quebecois. Sorry, I
Get back one.
apologize. Because you guys are like
Because we have
5 different
Shepherd's Pie
countries
in
up there.
Canada.
Remember,
do.
there's no Canada like French Canada.
The more Tom knows. Indeed. Pilgrim
Oh,
Media sends in $2 and says, some people's children, huh? I like that saying. I used to say that all the time. Some people's kids. JWT6577 sends in $5. Says, Canadians talking about assless chaps. This conversation is a little too Monday for me. Actually,
Should be
it's a
here
little
on
too
Friday.
Yeah, right?
and we're talking the winter time. We're a hardy breed.
This is true.
Well, I mean, you could compile the best assless chaps in movies. I mean, I'm thinking of a couple. The Road Warrior probably had some really good.
Yes.
Like a lot of.
That's at least the top 3.
Why is it that like apocalyptic futures, everybody dresses like they're going to some fetish club? It's very interesting.
I don't know.
Is
I
it
don't
weather?
understand.
Hot
it
out.
either.
Look at Zardoz.
Look at
There is one
Zardoz.
exception to that. There is
Those are
one
thigh-high boots,
exception.
but
The one exception to this is Dread.
right.
Think about
That's
that.
true.
Is the
Everybody's
one
like
movie.
dressed head to toe. Yeah.
Everyone is dressed in basically modern clothing for today. And since we are in a state of cultural stagnation right now, and we have been the past 2 decades, if that carries on, probably those clothes are going to be fairly spot on for however long this state of cultural stagnation lasts. So I do think that that probably was very, very spot on. And given the trajectory we are on right now, probably a very close approximation of the future we're heading towards.
Yeah, I think Zed's right. I think all chaps are assless. It's true. Walter Tomaszewski sends in $4.99 and says, how can Disney's stock price go up when it's releasing such terrible movies no one wants to attend? Well, we talked about this last week, actually, and I think the best answer comes from the fact that there's a lot of people that are like Pels and others who are buying stock, and that might be bumping the price up a bit.
Unfortunately, I think this is accurate. Culture, do you want to chime in on this?
No, I suspect that's exactly what's happening. There is no news, including the 10K that came out last week, that is indicating that Disney A is capable of producing anything good. B, they don't seem to care very much that they're alienating the largest part of their audience, and C, they have no plans to change. So all of that information that came out last week, it indicates to me that this is all about the proxy fight and not about anything other than that. I think you've got a lot of ideologically driven investing happening right now.
Yeah. What I suspect, this is something that we actually learned from our good friend Mike, the Mexican Iron Man, who shared it over at WDW Pro. Because you all know, we've been covering this, how Nelson Peltz has spent the last year buying up a ton of Disney shares to aid him in his proxy fight against Bob Iger and his cronies. Bob Iger isn't taking that standing. So what he has done is that he has gotten some friends of his, people who are in his corner and who don't want Disney to be profitable, because Disney is far better suited for them as an outlet for social engineering and propaganda. They wanted to continue with that, and in order to fight Nelson Peltz, they are buying up a ton of shares as well, setting the stage for a behind-the-scenes, all-out shareholder war, because that is what is gearing up right now. The only outside effect of this is that the share price is going up. Now, how can that happen? Well, it's very, very simple. Regardless of there's nothing to be excited about, let's go back to square one. Why do the share price increase? The share price increases when people are buying shares. That is what causes the share price to go up.
So like the end of Trading Places, basically.
Exactly. So basically, all this exciting stuff like that happening in the news and announcement, movies flopping, all of that is actually incidental. What actually matters is that those news are what causes people to buy more shares, and the act of buying is what increases the share price. Now, if people buy for some other reason, even though all the news are horrible, movies flopping and what have you, if people are buying loads of shares anyway, price is still going to go up. That's what we're seeing. And that, by the way, is not financial advice. That's basically just
that's where the stock market is gambling. And
Yeah.
you take a look at what the price to earnings ratio is of the company, and if its multiples are way out of line, and you're going in 10 years down the road, amortizing or not amortizing, but you're basically betting 10 years worth of future profits, then stay away, for God's sakes.
And Natasha said,
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's okay. I was just trying to highlight the comment that said the stock market is a magical place and doesn't really make sense. And this is true. It doesn't make sense if you apply the wrong logic to it. If you look at like the secondary the indicators, like for instance, like exciting news, like movies and stuff, those are secondary indicators of what happens. Because those are things that causes people to buy and sell. But it's the act of buying and selling that is what influences the share price, not anything else. As long as one has that distinction in mind, then it always makes sense. But it's when you have imperfect information, that's when it might not make sense, seemingly make sense.
Yeah, and then we got Hyperguyver here who sent in a $10 super chat before the show started. Said, my hope for Red Sonja is quickly circling down the drain. Thanks to the Blood Origin writer Tasha however you say that, sorry. Running her mouth about how it's about great female friendships and how women survive in the world. I don't know if I'd panic yet.
Yeah, no, Hyperguyver, you can chill. Relax. Remember, if you go back and you check our Red Sonja coverage, which I am proud to say is the most extensive you will find anywhere on the internet where the upcoming Red Sonja movie is concerned. The order of events here is that Tasha Huo was hired to write the movie for director, Tom, help me out here. What was the Joey Soloway? Whatever. He, she, they, them goes by this week. But anyway, Soloway, the former director Soloway, was the one who engaged Tasha Huo. And the Red Sonja movie that they wrote, that was going to be all about female power, mostly lesbian female power, and identity and subverting society, all of those things, right? That's what Tasha Huo wrote. That's gone now, because Tasha Huo's script is largely discarded. Only a skeleton of it remains. What remains is mostly what was already there in the story from Gail Simone, because the current director of the movie, the Solomon Kane director, mostly rewrote that script from scratch. So there's still going to be great female friendships in it, and it's going to be about how women survive in a world that men also need to survive in. I mean, it's the Hyborian age. It's not a great place to be for pretty much anyone. The biggest red flag there is that there's a theme about environmentalism, but I will give them halfway pass for that, because anyone who knows their Howardian history, the era of Conan and Red Sonja, because that's the same era, that's just a few centuries before another major cataclysm that completely changes the face of the earth and basically leads into our historical period. You can basically say that for those of you who know your Graham Hancock, the Hyborian age would be roughly in the middle of like the two driest impacts. That's where the Hyborian age is, roughly. So you can kind of get away with that. Anyway, I would not be worried about that, because Tasha Huo's script is no longer in use. Only the most vague leftovers of it. So I remain excited for Red Sonja until proven otherwise. And if I'm ever convinced that there's reason not to be excited for it, I'll be the first to scream it from the rooftops.
Indeed. All right. Well, we got Mario Trillo up next here with a $5 super chat. It says, stick a fork in Disney because it's done, folks. It had a good run, but now it's time to say goodbye. Yeah, and then on that note, Waltman4 also says with $9.99, especially given what's going on in the world today, Disney, we're quadrupling down on the messaging going this way. World, yeah, we're actually going the other way. So bye. So yeah. Let's get this one here that also has to do with Disney, and then we'll get into Disney. What's your first thought? Says with Canadian $5, Disney equals reverse Midas touch. Everything they do just turns into a big old pile of Pooh Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, bother.
Indeed. And I know that Mr. Gore, you have a lot to say about the Wish that is currently not setting the box office ablaze. But before you get into that, let's just take a brief look at what we're dealing with here in terms of numbers. Mr. Culture, can you just briefly give us a lowdown? What's happening at the box office? Who's winning? Who's losing?
Well, Wish did not have the kind of weekend you would hope for from a big studio on a holiday weekend, especially a holiday weekend that was 7 days long. But they managed to eke out at the domestic box office a mere $31.7 million. You had
before you carry on, over how many days were those 31 million accumulated?
7 days. As a matter of fact, they had a super secret sneak preview on the Saturday prior to the week that earned a grand total of $500,000, which was actually rolled into the box office for the preview date, the official preview day, which was November 21st. So you had a grand total preview number of 2,300,000. So in other words, adding in that $500,000 to what they actually made on that preview day, which is $1.8 million, they weren't off to a good start. And by the time we got to the 22nd, you had an $8.3 million total pull. Not huge numbers. Then on November 23rd, 3.9 million. The 24th, 8 million. The 25th was 7 million. And by the time we rolled around to yesterday, you had $4.5 million. All these numbers, of course, going the wrong way, giving us, as I said, about $31.7 million for the weekend. Now, internationally, although it didn't have the widest possible release, it only earned $17.3 million. And a grand total of $49 million after 7 days isn't all that impressive. That's an average of, let's see, $7 million a day.
Yeah, it's basically $50 million after 1 week in release worldwide.
Yep.
This is one of the greatest flops in Disney history. Mr. Gore, how are your friends in Hollywood handling this? And most importantly, like, what are you hearing from inside of Disney? Because those who have been following Film Threat as of late, as you all should be doing, and if you're not, the link for that is in the description. Go follow them, check them out. What's going on with this movie? How could it do this poorly?
Well, I'll get into it in just a sec. A quick aside that, like, you know, Alan's had something of a rough year. It would really make his year if we got over 100,000 subs. In fact, his request is we get to 100,069 subs. That's really the marker that we're gauging for our success. But so please subscribe to Film Threat, and I appreciate it. And here's what's happening, and here's what I'm hearing. And here's the issue. There are a lot of things I cannot tell you, but every person, both current and former employees of Disney, all of them who've reached out to me have said that they can't go on the record with what they're discussing because they work in the industry. And many of them have gone on to work at other companies. Here's the broad strokes that I can tell you is that activists have invaded, and taken over Disney. This shouldn't surprise anyone on this panel or anyone listening, because it's something that's been talked about or speculated about. Now we have 100% confirmed proof. The stories I'm hearing, which I can't repeat, I'm trying to get approval to be able to talk about some of this stuff, and hopefully next week can give a more detailed report, or on the Film Threat live streams later this week. But the confirmation is that they are there and they are actively pushing out Disney veterans. It is their goal. These up and coming beginners in the industry who have not been mentored or even learned the lessons or achieved much of anything, have a outward disdain for the, you know, the veterans who have made films, made some good ones, made some great ones, made some okay ones, but they have experience. And this activist faction actively want to push certain agendas. Clearly, we saw that with Strange World. I mean, if you didn't notice it before Strange World was a huge wake-up call. Alan and I both saw that movie on Thanksgiving. I think both of us sat in empty theaters and saw it, and then talked, and we were both confused. Like, this is a mainstream family animated movie. I think it's become clear that Disney's reputation and brand is now affiliated directly with activist, agenda-driven entertainment. Audiences, in particular families, don't want it. Now, families are just going to say, I'll just go see the new Minions or the Trolls movie because that's going to be harmless entertainment. We'll all have fun and we'll laugh, instead of what Disney is currently offering. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Disney's reputation was not great in the 80s. That was in the late 70s and 80s. Disney's reputation had fallen on bad times because it just was not affiliated with quality. Yeah. You know, it wasn't until the 90s and this new renaissance in 2D animation, effectively features that were, you know, Broadway musicals, that Disney had a resurgence. It's going to take a long time to repair the damage that's been done. The people that are speaking to me are disgusted that it's been allowed to get this far. A couple of the things that have been discussed are what they call middle management bloat. This is why when you see these budgets at Disney of, you know, $200 million for a cartoon, or $300 million for a Marvel movie, and then you look at a company like Lionsgate, Hunger Games, the new Hunger Games prequel was made for 100. Five Nights at Freddy's, 25 million. Disney doesn't just have an activist problem. It has a middle management bloat problem that ballooned budgets. So even a modest film made with Disney is going to be over budgeted. I mean, they become as efficient as the US government when it comes to solving an issue. I'm being serious.
Yeah, $600 coffee machines for the military.
No, exactly. But just like insane, stupid spending. So that is a problem, the middle management bloat. And in addition, the activists. Now, look, there have always been activists, and people believe, you know, people have their private, personal beliefs. That's always existed. What is new is management, weak-willed management at the top and certainly in the middle, and allowing a particular activist agenda to take over. Because all types of people work at Disney. I can tell you that for a fact. All types of people work at Disney. And you set your personal agenda aside because you're getting a paycheck. You know? It's like what Don Draper said in Mad Men, one of my favorite lines. He just says, "That's what the money's for." Basically, shut up and do your job.
Yeah, that or Ghostbusters when they ask Ernie Hudson about all that stuff, and he's like, "If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything."
Part of the challenge.
Exactly, that's a great one, Tom.
Part of the challenge, Chris, is that the left are part of their worldview is proselytization. The right tend to just want to raise their families. So it's not intrinsically built into their worldview to, so for instance, all our school boards here, practically everybody is left of center because they're driven by that. And then now the people on the right are going, well, why are we teaching these books? Why are we doing this? Why are we wasting our time on this? They're just too busy living their lives. And that's part of the problem. So at Disney, you've got the people who everyone is afraid of because they're politically active. That's what the left does.
Well, I'm Team Pierre, and I love apples, so that's all I'm going to say on that.
He's a puppet. I'm sorry, he's a puppet, man.
You think so? Oh, I'll take him over Trudeau.
I know so, man. He wants the same things Trudeau wants. He puts a different veneer on it. I can assure you that it's a mono-party up here.
Yeah, well, he just seems common sense, and I love with the Canadian accent, common sense.
The common sense revolution. We had that here already. It didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But in any case, I'll tell one story, which one of the stories I was given permission to be able to tell, and that'll give you some idea of where we're at. So John Lasseter, as we all know, was let go over charges that might have been a little suspicious. I think the worst he never broke the law, didn't do anything that was illegal, but we were told by sources that he hugged people, embraced people a little too much. Not one specific charge that you could say that's illegal or that goes beyond. And I would put the onus upon, I'm not much of a hugger, and I kind of, by my body language, you kind of get it. Like I'm not a big hugger, but there are people who are big huggers. And I think, it's incumbent upon you to let others know what your personal boundaries are.
I've stopped. I was a hugger. I stopped. I've completely stopped.
Well, yeah, but look, I'm
Hungarian.
Right. Right. But I need to know people. Obviously, I hug family members, whatnot. I need to know people a little bit before, that's a thing.
Not me. Nope.
But I have hugged Gary Beekler of Nerdrotic. I have hugged.
Did he get a boner?
Alan Ing the Merciless. So anyways, in any case, all I'm saying is the charges against John Lasseter, and this has been discussed, were kind of trumped up just to get rid of him. He was on leave for 6 months. They finally got rid of him. They held a company-wide meeting at Pixar, everyone in attendance, where an executive got up and announced, here's what's happened. John he's moved on. We've let him go. And given a big speech that, laid out what happened. And at the end of this speech, the executive said, does anyone have any questions? And a young millennial woman shot up, her hand straight in the air, and was called upon to ask the question. And the question was, can we get a woman to run this place? And that gives you some idea of exactly what the agenda was when it came to John Lasseter. And whatnot.
Because that is the number one criteria for leadership.
That's exactly right. First, it was incredibly disrespectful to the executives that was giving, this talk to the entire company. And it shows you the entitled nature of this group of new workers, new people in the workplace. They haven't figured out how to manage Gen Z and for the most part, millennials. And I don't think they have an understanding of, one, they should be grateful for the positions that they're in. And two, the company's goal is to make money so that they can pay you. That alone, that gives you some idea of the environment, what it was like at Pixar. Obviously, the company's fallen on hard times, and leadership is, in my opinion, genderless. I've had bad bosses that were both male and female. I've had bad bosses of all types. I'm more comfortable working for myself. But that gives you some idea. But the thing is this, more and more people, this morning I was responding to a bunch of emails from more and more people are starting to speak out. But here's what's interesting. They're not reaching out to the trades, because the trades clearly, when you read the trades, we talked about it at the top of the show, Variety, The Reporter, IndieWire, among others, they don't want to hear it because they come from a particular political viewpoint. They're reaching out to YouTubers. Okay. I mean, there were people from Marvel that reached out to Critical Drinker and Gary at Nerdrotic. There are people, they're reaching out to YouTubers. Why? Because we're talking about this. I would give at least Gary credit for noticing all this way before at least myself. And he coined the term MCU, which is now being used in the trades. It's being used in articles about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the recent book that came out. So that's a big win for Gary. And subscribe to Nerdrotic. He's a small YouTube channel that is up to getting close to 1 million subscribers. But all I'm saying is that I'm at this point, I'm trying to get permission to be able to tell some of these stories, because some of the stories are so specific they could identify who the people are. And Hollywood is living in fear. You cannot speak out against the narrative. You have to speak a certain way politically. And we haven't even gotten to it today, but I'm sure maybe discussed is, and we talked about it actually, Tom, on Saturday, the Scream situation.
Well, speaking of getting to something, Jonas has been waiting in the back. Just wanted to
slide
him on in here.
No, that's all right. We have another guest joining us this morning, Mr. Jonas J. Campbell. How you doing?
Howdy. I usually don't try to start with my with these characteristics, but yeah, American Christian conservative homeschooling parent checking in here. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Pariah.
You guys are all correct on the viewpoint as well. Generally speaking, we've all been pretty polite about it. The traditional Bible thumping crowd is obviously not pro LGBT, but we're pretty much used to the idea of, if you leave us alone, we won't have a problem. We might talk about you behind your back, but if you leave us alone, we're not going to have an issue. Allow us to raise our kids how we want. I don't know what the hornet's nest is that's been kicked up on Twitter right now, but it is like an entire army of Twitter trolls are coming after people. I think the fact that Wish is garbage is probably really upset them, and now they want to defend the death of this company. Chris, everything that you've been saying about Disney, I obviously you have. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say you probably have better sources than we do. Everything we've been hearing at that Park Place is in line with what you're saying. People they'll sign the older executives to onto a project in order to get them under an NDA. And so, like, if they bring back somebody that worked on Inside Out 2 or whatever, or something that I'm not going to name, I can't name that one because it's out of source. But they will get them under NDA so they can silence them and then put them out to pasture or put them on something menial, so that they can keep all of the people who have experience from actually contributing on a project. It's nefarious. It's awful. Hate it.
It's mind-boggling.
Don't want them though.
What's that, Script?
Why retain them on an NDA contract and still employ them if they don't want to use them though?
So they can't comment. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, so they can still be terminated with an NDA, non-binding agreement afterwards.
No, but they can't go anywhere else to compete.
Yeah, it's a non-competition clause is way different than that. But I'm just wondering, it's like, we're going to have them.
They get the clout of saying that they have them, and then they also get the protection of not having them speak about the project and the lack of quality on the project.
Right. It's infuriating. I think people are done from the broad strokes of all the emails I've gotten, is people are just upset about all of this. They've allowed, and I say allowed because it's not like the activists had power. We're talking about people in lower level and mid-level positions, but they've allowed it. And it's weak leadership, or even just ignoring it. I think Bob Iger's true colors have been shown. He's a guy that was good at buying things, but not good at managing things or shepherding franchises. This weekend, I'm going to be at LA Comic-Con, at the LA Convention Center. I'm doing 3 panels. Check my personal Twitter feed, that Chris Gore, if you want to see what the panels are. But one of the panels is, and Gary's going to be on the panel. It's going to be me, Alan, Gary, Paulie from Latino Slant, Herbal Riot Show, Dante James, Danica, XIX, Comic Book Girl 19, Anna, that Star Wars girl. We're all going to be on a panel called Death of the Modern Franchise. And we're going to be, I'm wondering what franchises are left to destroy. We've seen the death of Doctor Who recently. I have not seen that episode, but I've watched, Gary stream about it. I've watched a lot of other people discuss it. As from Heel versus Babyface posted a review this morning of the episode. So Doctor Who, dead. Star Wars, dead. Marvel, dying. Disney animation.
Oh my, yeah.
Dead. I mean, like how much more evidence do you need to convince yourself that this might be, you might have leaned into activism a little too far? And if you're making entertainment is for everyone. If you make hot dogs that you put ketchup on, they're for everyone who loves hot dogs. And I've not, in no other industry are people this short-sighted. If someone keeps telling you, I don't like your pizza is bad, make better pizza. It's saying, oh, we don't care. You don't like pizza, you're racist. Like what? And the vilification of the audience for not liking garbage, it's not taking any personal accountability at all, which is very indicative of the upcoming generation. No personal accountability. But
it's
that's
very childish. Because take a look at New Coke. It took 71 days for Coca-Cola to realize they made a mistake and went back and reintroduced it as Coca-Cola Classic. That was in 86, something like that.
Yes.
That's normal business practice.
Well, I'm sure they realized it sooner than that. It just took that long to implement the change back. But yeah.
Well, they probably realized, like, oh crap, we have to go back. Well, how do we push it from New Coke? It's like, we'll call it yeah, and then they just rushed it out. But still, it took a business quarter in order for them to see the numbers and change course. This is what it is. Just recently in the food side of industries, to keep it going for Paul's analogy, Domino's Pizza changed their recipe a few years ago because even though they were surviving, they were constantly considered a low rate pizza. They changed it. Their pizza is actually a lot better now. Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, they got rid of their terrible French fries. They're now bringing in newer ones. And apparently people are really liking them now. Like it's just normal receptive information from their customers. Oh, this is not selling as well as it should be. Let's figure out why it's not selling as well and course correct so that we can maintain our business model. Hollywood's done this for the most part. It's Disney, the one that's screaming, throwing a tantrum and saying, no, we don't want to do this. We want our activism. We want our agenda. They don't, the people that have, like, again, a lot of writers, they all have their ideologies. They all have their beliefs. And the thing is that the best ones present it as a question and explore variations of answers just to get you thinking or seeing a different perspective. It's not trying to indoctrinate. It's not trying to preach or anything of that nature. What we have here recently is Disney is just trying to push these agendas, and they're not doing it in any sort of entertaining fashion. And Wish, because Chris, last week you told us what the premise was. It's supposed to be the origin of the song When You Wish Upon a Star. When you read those lyrics, you can definitely see it is ripe for an activist to take advantage of and manipulate to do whatever agenda they need.
Well, it was originally intended to be the origin of the song When You Wish Upon a Star. Does anyone want any spoilers? Do you know what happens at the end of?
Go for it. Do share.
The woman takes over.
The lead character becomes the fairy godmother.
Yeah, she changes her hair and her skin tone magically, I guess.
In any case, I don't think anybody cares.
No, I make the executive decision on this one. Go ahead, spill everything. And if anyone here listening are worried about spoilers, well, I'm sorry about this one time, one crime, but I don't care. So yeah, well, you already spoiled it already. There's really not much else to say, other than basically that's what I got from the movie as well. It's really about revolution. It has like similarities to Snow White. There is no love interest, everyone is under the spell of their king, who at surface looks fantastic. Everyone loves him, but then they realize that no, this whole system is deeply problematic. And now we have new information and we need to depose him. There's no real proper new leader. Instead, it's kind of like just a socialist revolution, isn't it?
You know, I'll throw out, there's, for as much as we talk about Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige, and to a lesser extent, Pete Docter, who runs Pixar, Jennifer Lee, who runs Disney Animation right now, her tenure, especially since 2018, when John Lasseter was no longer the CCO of the entire Walt Disney Company. From then on, it's all been stuff about, you know, Wreck-It Ralph is all about Ralph being insecure. Frozen 2 is, again, about existing on your own and also white colonialism. Everyone forgets Raya, but Encanto, generational trauma. Strange World, generational trauma, and the errors of the patriarchy. Wish is a patriarchy story. It is woke, even if it doesn't have gender ideology in it. All of this stuff has been under one specific executive. And well, I don't want to wield that sword too much on the internet, because, you know, Rachel Ziegler probably needs a chance to correct, even though she's been pretty awful. The name Jennifer Lee is in danger of becoming the next, you know, Brie Larson, the next Kathleen Kennedy. She's done a lot that could probably get her some attention here. So Disney, if you're paying attention to this stream, please course correct, please, before we have another villain in all of our thumbnails.
Yeah, that person's name has come up in my correspondences.
Well, there are many Kathleen Kennedys. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy is not unique. Every division of every company has one. You don't get the kind of corporate takeover for the woke cause that we've seen across the entirety of the corporate spectrum without a bunch of Kathleen Kennedys in charge. Their names may vary. I mean, sometimes they're called Alyssa Heinerscheid, other times they're called Victoria Alonso, but they're all basically Kathleen Kennedy variants, to use some Marvel terminology.
That's a great point right there.
So, yeah.
Whatever you just said, it got completely drowned out on my end.
Yeah, the only thing I would add here is
what is that noise?
That is called background feedback or white noise sound that's coming through Jonas's mic.
It's me?
Is that Jonas's?
Yeah, we're not. Yep, that's Jonas.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
There may be a connection issue or something. I don't know.
Strange. Is it still going?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, it's fine now.
So Disney's not. They have something that is like an untitled movie that's in April. I mean, whatever. I don't think they're going to hit that. They're not releasing movies for 6 months now, and when they come back, it's going to be a Pixar film. I don't think. I think that's going to soften the impact of Deadpool 3 being the next Disney movie, which is hilarious to think that is a Disney movie. They have another Pixar sequel to, I'm going to say that's one of their more esoteric films. I don't know why they would choose that movie to be their next sequel, but 6 months off. It's going to be the best that studio has done for 12 months to release nothing, because they won't have a loss on their books. And then we'll be back into the conversation about whether or not Disney needs to get rid of one of their animation studios.
Yeah, and I love how Twilight Hope brings up, is there anyone here who would have been spoiled?
Right. Exactly. No one could. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we're talking about just necessary cost cutting. The only way, they're just gonna have to continue to borrow money, right? I mean, that's the only way. You can't have on Geeks and Gamers Daily. I'm filled with plugs today. I don't mean to be, but on Geeks and Gamers Daily, Ryan was going over just the box office and budget for 2023. If you just look at the budgets for all the Disney releases, and that includes like Marvel and whatnot, all the budgets, reported budgets and box office, it's a train wreck. 2023 is the year that killed Disney. It will turn out to be, because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. If their business model is to lose money, they're doing a great job.
Combined, their last 6 films are in the hole $1.1 billion.
So they have to fire more than 7,000 people this year.
And that's rolling, by the
Right.
way, as the year rolls off, because Lightyear was before that, and Strange World will be rolling off now. So this is not something that's isolated to this year.
All right.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
stuff.
no, and
Amazing.
going off of Chris's point, that's kind of what Christopher Nolan was saying with this whole thing of they have to learn to balance in Hollywood. They can't keep making these over-bloated, big budget blockbuster films constantly, and they also need to make the other kind of movies too, and they need to find that balance again. I mean, he said a little bit more nuanced than that, but that was just kind of going off of what Chris was saying there, and we've said that many a time here, but
I'm not, and look, my personal opinion is I'm not saying you can't make movies that have activist messaging, just scale it to the budget of that audience.
Right.
But that audience is small. The audience is very small. And to me, since I've been, doing Film Threat for so many years, decades, in fact, don't look up how long it's been around. It's a long time. I've always seen these kind of movies, but they're independent films. They're movies that play in New York and LA, that open at the Sundance Film Festival. They're funded by rich philanthropists that don't need to make money, and they don't make money. And that's okay. It's okay for those movies. It's okay. Make a movie like Bros, but make it for $5 million. Make a movie like Strange World, a cartoon, but make it under a new brand called Disney Sparkle. It's the gay brand for Disney. And Disney Sparkle, everyone knows that when you see a Disney Sparkle piece of content, it is going to be full on LGBTQ themed. That's okay, but scale it to the actual audience. The actual audience is not broad. It's not mainstream. In fact, mainstream audiences reject it to the point where now it's killing the main brand of Disney. Spin off a different brand. It's like with anything like DC. Okay. I'm a DC fan. Love Batman since I was a kid. All that there is a lot of content that is Batman related that is for little kids. Teen Titans, not for me. I'm not the target demo. And you know what? They make those Teen Titan cartoons. They're made for little kids. They love them. Not for me. They make it at the budget. They're not spending $300 million on Teen Titans, the cartoon, because it's made for little kids. It's okay. All this stuff can exist. But you need to, the executives running these things, I assume they're in charge. They don't seem to be. They need to scale these projects to the audience that actually exists. They need to reflect the real world. It does not. They need to maybe get out of New York and LA and go to other parts of the country to meet salt of the earth, working people that are most people. They're not doing. And they're making movies for themselves, and they're making movies for their peers and colleagues, but not for an audience that is going to buy popcorn and spend $100 plus to take their family to a movie over Thanksgiving. They chose differently. And most probably chose to stay home when you look at the weak box office returns for everything underperformed.
I'll add to. I know Paul's going to say something, but I have one thing that I want to add here. I get a lot of texts and calls when a Disney movie comes out, when a kids movie comes out, because of the nature of my channel, and everyone wanted to know what is in this movie, and I told them very frankly, no, it doesn't have any gender stuff in it. So now all of them came up to me later at church, by the way, throwing that in there, and said, yeah, the movie stunk, but I guess the kids liked it for a minute. The problem that Disney has is they are willing to put this stuff into their preschool content. And so when you know that Disney is glad to put it in their preschool content, all of a sudden it makes the entire Disney Junior brand, which is the building block of their next generation of consumers, it makes that suspect to an entire segment of the market. All the moms who are making decisions, they say, no, Disney's going to make the decision about when to have this conversation with your kids. And this is where they step over the line. They want to vilify the parents who have a problem with it. And then here we are. If it was clearly labeled Disney Sparkle, I like the idea. I don't endorse all of the things about it, but I like the idea of saying, yes, this is over here. You can have your thing. Disney's current 20 to 39-year-old audience, enjoy all this children's content that you're pretending to watch for kids' sake.
But these types of people
Yeah.
don't want to be in the niche. They want to be the dominant story. They want to be
Well,
popular.
that's the
They
whole
want
point,
their
right?
ideas
Yes.
pushed that way. If you were to tell them, yes, you can do your thing, but you're only getting 10 million instead of 100 million, they'd be flippant.
Look how racist and sexist it all
Well,
is. Right?
and that goes exactly to like the point where like Masters of the Universe, when they flat out said that the only reason they appropriated that other character is because they didn't think anybody would relate to a new black character. It's like right there is your point. Exactly that. They want to appropriate. They want to come in, invade, change what is already. Well, this goes right back to my tweet with fucking Mystery Science Theater. Like they freak the fuck out over it as soon as you point it out, but it's the truth. And why are they scared? Because it's scaring the fucking audience away. They just don't want to do anything. They want anything to do with it anymore. And that goes right back to Disney and their problem with Wish. And we've seen this coming from a mile away. And I think you made a post like this, Andre. Somebody else had pointed it out like, oh, it's amazing how Disney has gone so far downhill. It's like, no, if you actually been paying attention, this has been predicted.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly how you said it, but
it was someone who said no one in the industry could have predicted this a week ago.
Oh gosh, that guy was such a moron. I think
apparently this guy is good for everything else, but in this particular thing, he was a moron, and everyone who failed to see this coming was a moron. If they actually work in the industry, if you work in Hollywood and you work in a position where you should have. Where you needed to know that this was going to flop and you didn't see that it was a flop, then no offense, but you're incompetent and you need to be fired and you need to find another job, because this was one of the most predictable flops in history. I mean, just look at Disney's recent track record. I mean, if you thought that, oh, this movie is going to turn everything around, then you're insane. You're simply delusional. There was no way that this movie was going to be any good. I mean, is there anyone here who thought that this was going to play out any differently than it did?
I was shocked at the projection numbers being as high as they were. I was surprised to the point where I thought, is this propaganda to try to boost the movie a little bit?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're far away from reality. But I always step back, and because Jonas brought it up, I'll add this to the conversation. Stepping back, what is the first thing everybody wants to get rid of on cable television? It's the channels that nobody's watching. Disney has forced people to retain their channels, their lineup of channels that people are abandoning left and right. And linear television isn't just dying because people are streaming things. Linear television is dying because there's garbage on it that nobody wants to consume. Nobody's willing to spend money on. So when Spectrum redid their cable deal, guess what? They got rid of 8 Disney channels. Those are going to be the 8 Disney channels that Disney's going to try to spin off into their own individual, fast channels. And I actually have a video coming up on that, or a segment coming up on that Park Place. So, Jonas, that's right?
Yes,
I did that?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. But it's that there's a broader point here, is that people are abandoning this kind of garbage everywhere, especially in the areas where it's costing them money. Nobody wants to spend money on Disney Junior. That's one of the channels they're ditching. Freeform, that used to be the ABC Family channel. Well, guess what? They stopped liking families some time ago, and that channel became complete garbage. So people are bailing out on Disney, and Disney's perfectly happy with it. And that 10K that everybody references, that's 100% the problem. And they know what it is, and they don't care. Anyway, I think Paul's been trying to say something for an hour, so I'll be quiet now. Or maybe not.
Well, Paul.
I had my mute on. What I have to say is of no consequence now.
But we love you anyways, Paul.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, Paul.
That's right.
Okay. Not a problem.
Well, and I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what else can we say other than this is Disney, making its own bed and having to sleep in it? I mean, we're not sitting here pointing and laughing so much as we're saying, yeah, we told you so. This is what was going to happen, right? Like, you kept going down this road, this path. You were going to get to the point where even in a holiday weekend, and this is going off of what Andre's tweet was about, or that he retweeted anyway. Even on a holiday weekend, a movie like that Disney brought out can't even muster up enough money to, be of any kind of self-worth, because at the end of the day, we all know this movie's going to lose money, just like Strange World did, just like all the other films have in the last few years, because they're getting their ass kicked by Universal. And all Universal is doing is just doing what Disney did for years, right? Just giving the audience what they want. Oh, they like these little yellow minion guys? Let's give them more. You know,
well,
that's what they do.
I hate the phrase giving the audience what they want, because you don't get anything creative that way. And studio executives keep saying that, and then we get repetition, and the big hits only come from taking chances on new properties. So we all know that.
True,
but,
you're not wrong, but in that point, the minions themselves are a spin-off of another thing too.
Sure, but the big problem with Disney is I have no idea what their products are that they're releasing. So yeah, let's say a Minion sequel that's now has a built-in property, and you have a vague idea of what it's going to be about based on its original IP. But even if you're talking about, Elemental actually had a vague notion. Oh, fire girl, water guy. You had a notion of what it was. I have no idea what Strange World was about. There was nothing built in. The Wish. What? Like, what is it? Like, these properties intrinsically have no premise that you might be interested in. If you look at Up, you could go, well, I don't know what it's about, but it's an old guy with a shit ton of balloons attached to his house. Like, there's these visual cues that Pixar was always really, really good at.
Yeah.
And you had a notion of what you were getting with these brand new properties. Disney, I have no idea. I mean, you could explain Wish to me like it was just explained to me now. I still don't know what's going on. And that is the biggest problem with what's happening with Disney. People are not having fun with their stuff.
And that's
the problem with Wish. No, the problem with Wish as well is that even having watched the film, there's not much to describe there. Okay. Anyways,
there you go. That is the exact thing that I would want as an executive landing on my desk. I've got a property here. Nobody understands. Nobody knows what's going on. No one knows what the audience is. Let's go.
Unfortunately, this is the kind of stuff that Disney is making now. And to me, this is the most frustrating. One is that Disney's management is actually allowing this. They're not stopping it, meaning they must condone it by necessity, which makes it even worse that Disney's board, and I swear, of all shareholders there are, no one is more gullible and patient than Disney's shareholder, because Disney doesn't have a board. This is a matter of public record now, following the CNBC article. Disney's board is a board in name only, but it is not capable of functioning like a board, because everyone in it was personally appointed by Iger. They have some kind of friendship or some other personal relation to him. And they definitely don't know anything about entertainment. I mean, half of the people on the board are a bunch of pharma chills. So they're simply not competent to run the board.
And not just entertainment. It's a question of they're just so serious about their sad lives that they want to convey to people. You're never going to get the wacky professor or the shaggy DA or Freaky Friday. Those, I mean, we can argue whether those were successful movies in their time, but again, it goes back to an era when people were having fun and being creative. And I think this entire social justice thing is a yoke, not just on creativity, but having fun and getting out there, just, grooving on what you can do with the new technology and just like what anime is doing. People, I mean, Disney is what a dire place it must be to work at right now.
Last night, it's been like that for 25 years.
It's true.
Yeah.
You could see that when I went there in the 90s. It was kind of starting a lot of serious, angry people of a certain sex,
and a lot of people being outsourced out of Disney jobs too. There was that. I remember that happened.
Last night, my wife and I were looking for anything to watch, and we finally started watching One Piece. And I didn't realize that it involved fantasy elements. I could obviously tell from the style. So one of the characters gets shot and it bounces off of him. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
So I was not prepared for that. So we're having this moment where we look at each other and say, "Is this goofy?" Whatever. But anyways, we stuck to the end. It sounds like it looks like it's going to be fantastic. So we're going to stay to the end. The thing that Disney is missing right now is that element of fun. Everything is so ridiculously high stakes, but you add in this element. And as a Christian, I can comment on this specifically. When Christians do movies and they do big movies and they shoehorn in that message, it is the most awkward and ridiculous thing. So when Disney does it, I can clearly see when they're doing it. When they're putting the message in front of the quality of the product, you're not going to have a movie that lasts more than, yeah, I'm sure glad we all made that, but I'm not going to watch it again. I'm being honest. I don't go back and watch these faith films again, unless I'm like trying to tell someone, yeah, this is a good faith-filled story. Go ahead, watch it. I don't go back to these things and say, I'm having a rough day. No, I go to Groundhog Day.
I'm gonna make a hockey analogy that you guys will love. And a team that has lost 20 in a row, there's a saying, you're holding on to your hockey sticks too tightly. Now, it means that people are tight. They're tense. The only way to play a game and win a game is to be loose and enjoy the game. Yep. And the worse it gets, the tighter you hold the stick. And that's what I'm feeling at Disney. They are just holding, they're choking.
If you clench a muscle too long, you will get a Charlie horse and it'll cramp up and you'll be debilitated as a result.
What's happening. I am having so much fun here at Disney. I can't tell you.
Well, I hate to jump in, and I mean, this is obviously a subject that's very close to my heart, but I do have to run. I'm supposed to get a video
leave on my hockey analogy. Go ahead.
I don't know anything.
It's because you embarrassed us. Yeah, you came to a fucking nerd show and started talking sports, Paul. What do you expect? Of course, Jonas is going to leave.
All right.
Well, keep your stick on the ice.
Read the room.
That's from Red Green. I recognize that. All right. Talk to you guys later. Thank you so much
Jonas.
for letting me jump in. Bye.
Actually,
thanks for joining us.
That's Paul brings up a good point. We are definitely missing some very fun, feel good sports movies.
Oh yeah,
big ones.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last one that came out that made people go, "Yeah, that was great."
That's a good question. No, because you know why, Script? Because sports are bad. Sports means somebody has to win, and that means there's a loser.
Well, they're not going to reissue Bud Light, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Trouble with
they're trying. I mean, they're like trying to connect it to like
I was gonna say you could say Gran
and everything,
Turismo.
and then so they just.
Well, I'm talking about the
MMA
dog. There was a movie about a dog, I think, called Bud Light.
Oh,
I don't know.
I know.
Gran
That was
Turismo.
Air Bud.
Air Bud, sorry.
Air Buds. Oh, they had about hundreds of those, man. Like,
Sorry. I
The
never
amount of
saw
sports
any
a
of them.
dog can play because it's not in the rules. It's just baffling.
That's right.
hey,
Yeah,
That's just the way it
maybe the
works.
dog can join a swim team.
They need to do one Air Bud where a dog specifically is not allowed to play, and they go to court over it.
Wow.
and then the dog transitions to human at the end. There you go. But anyway, let's get to some of these super chats. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. We got Aki who sends in £1.99 or $9.99. £1.09. How do you say that? 9 pounds and
£1.99.
$9.99.
Okay, I said it right. All right.
Yeah.
Alan is what we Chinese call a banana, only Asian on the outside. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
That's the good. You emphasized we Chinese. None of us would say that here. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know about that, but thank you, Aki, for the $9.99 there. Stian Mondstad has been here for 16 months. Thank you for that. And Scott McKenzie became a new member. Thank you.
I remember saying Oreo cookie, which you all know. What
Is it
that
me, or does Scott kind of look like
Red?
God, I just
He looks
forgot
like
it.
Red.
I was just gonna say, yeah, his name. I just forgot it. Kurtwood Smith.
Kurtwood Smith?
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the best bad guys of all time.
Oh God! Not only that, I love him on that '70s show as well. But yeah, no, he's amazing in RoboCop. But you know, he grew up 30 miles from where I was born.
Wow.
Yeah. He was. That's
You
why
have
he
a
got
plaque
that.
on your house.
I wish. No, he actually comes up to the area once in a while, supposedly during holidays, but I've yet to see him. So, but anyway, NG the Merciless is here and sends $5 and says, thanks for the love. Can someone remind Chris that Film Threat is 1,500 subs away from 100,069, dude?
Yeah, because for those who missed it, that's Alan Ing right there.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
Ing the
Alan?
Merciless.
Alan Ing the Merciless.
Oh yeah, it is. Duh. I didn't even. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
He has a YouTube
Well,
channel.
get in here, man. What the heck?
I've talked to him about it. He says he's always busy Monday mornings.
I know. That's what I've tried to get a hold of. I'm like, let me know.
And I try to hide the fact that I'm working while I'm talking to you guys, because so I sit here and I basically plow through like about 100 emails in the morning. But you know, if I wasn't doing that, I would be yelling at the TV when you guys are talking. So I'd be watching you guys, but yelling, going that, you know, so now I can just yell on the show, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, now you can share what you actually know rather than what you wish that you could tell us and everyone else. So that's perfect. Yeah. We'd much rather have you here than all alone checking your emails. Much better to check your emails with us.
And subscribe to Ing the Merciless, which is Alan Ing's gaming channel that he hasn't launched yet. He literally started a gaming channel.
And I'll just say, Chris doesn't have to be here for you to have to be here. So if there's a Wednesday or Friday that you're free, please let me know, Alan. But yeah,
that's also true. Yeah,
touch as well in the background. But yeah, but thank you again, Alan. And then we got Kate C, aka Snake Plush Kitten. I like that, Snake Plush Kitten. I didn't think Disney is getting a cut of all that aid to Ukraine. I think Disney is getting a cut of all that aid to Ukraine for $5. I don't.
Well, not directly, but that's
maybe.
that's part of the reason why BlackRock can afford to not care what happens with Disney directly, because they have so much money coming in from other venues, that place being one of them. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, not if you're a BlackRock Disney shareholder.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Mecca J sends in two and says, "I heard that Doctor Who has completely went woke. You mean even more woke than it has before? It went. What is beyond woke?
Oh yeah, even more.
Disney's
Yes,
got their hands in them right now. So
yeah.
I guess that's the only way you can do it. Is
I think technically you'd call that a coma.
Yeah. I mean, considering that being woke, that's like 1984 double speak. Like everyone who is woke is really sleepwalking because they're living a dream world. So going beyond woke, yeah, I guess that would be in a coma. And and
it's woke in its specificity now. So there's the stage of woke where you go, okay, all the heroes are women. Okay, that's but they're not saying anything. They're not going, oh, you men are stupid. And then there's the next stage where the men are demeaned all the time. And then there's this stage of this episode of Doctor Who is where they've actually got a pronoun line that deals with the alien. But I actually have a joke about that on my video that will be coming up later. But I'll tell the joke here when we get into the comment or the review of Doctor Who here. I'll save it for that.
Yeah, if indeed we do get into it.
Well, if you don't get to it, then you don't get to it. You'll have to watch it on my.
What I heard about, I haven't seen it, but what I heard is basically they bring back David Tennant, who is everyone's favorite Doctor Who of the Doctor Who's.
Eccleston is for me was my favorite.
Yeah,
I'm still a Jeff Baker purist.
Jeff Baker purist is okay too, but no, he was good. David Tennant. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What was it you're saying there?
No, basically, they brought him back only to complain to be brought back because he was this awesome woman, and now he's this old white dude again. What the hell happened? So
that's not in this episode. That was in I think the trailer, but I didn't remember seeing it in the actual episode.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I actually haven't seen a single episode.
So let me tell you how racist the BBC is over this episode, and I don't. This is completely accidental. So clearly, the BBC realized that the Bag Lady, Dr. Bag Lady, which we just finished 4 or 5 years worth of dreadful retconned Doctor Who. Their choice now is a gay black man. So I'm sure someone at the BBC went, well, hold on. We can't jump from this Dr. Bag Lady to Dr. Gay Who, right? And so they've decided to bring in this cisgender white guy, Tennant, as kind of a palate cleanser between these two. This jump, that's racist. Like, if they really were confident that I can't remember the guy's the new guy. If they're really confident in him, why not just jump right in? No, they realize that they screwed things up, so they're trying to give this David Tennant moment in it, which from my point of view is racist.
And also, but didn't they go even like more progressive than that? Like, isn't like the new companion a they them or something?
Yeah. But I'm saying, but if they're confident in their progressive nature, why not just go from
Jodie
Dr.
Whittaker
Bag
to this
Lady to
guy.
Dr. Gay Who? Like, why not? Like, why are they bridging it with a white guy? Because they're not confident. They had to bring Tennant back because the show crashed and burned so badly that they're trying to raise they're trying to get interest back in the show.
Yeah, that may work for that one episode where David Tennant is back, but without
But he's
him.
back for 3 episodes.
Oh, for 3? Isn't he gone already? Wow. Okay, I will. Okay.
Isn't he? Isn't that the way it's working?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. Like, the only episodes I've seen of Doctor Who is actually like the original origin of the Daleks with that Tom Baker fella. That's like,
well, that's not really relevant right now, Andre.
Actually, I think it's even more relevant than ever, because that's the where we saw the origins of the Daleks, and they introduced that villain. What's his name? Sounds like Greek or something. Davros. Yes, Davros. And I was like, whoa, this was a really, really cool villain, even there back in 1975. And then they decided that, you know what, that dude, he's in a wheelchair and stuff like that. That's all kinds of problematic. So we have
he wasn't in a wheelchair. He wasn't in a wheelchair. He was a life support system.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, he's very old.
He was Pike. He was Captain Pike.
Well, fine. He's not Pike no more, because they decided that him being Pike is bad representation for people in wheelchairs. And so they gave him his arm back, and they gave him his eyes back, and they made him younger. And they basically made him an evil cis white male who's physically able and everything.
I don't know when, but when did they do that? They haven't done it. I mean, in subsequent episodes, I haven't.
No, those episodes haven't been seen yet, but they're coming, and they have announced it with great pride that they're doing it. And they even released like a picture of what Davros looks like now, because it was so problematic, him being in something that could be mistaken for a wheelchair. They certainly thought it was a wheelchair.
I saw the interview. I saw the interview with Davies talking about exactly that, and that's the dumbest thing anyone could think of. I mean, part of the problem with Doctor Who is that it straddles kind of campy adult interest, and also it's mainly a kid show. So, and as a kid show, all this intersectional stuff is just propaganda.
Oh, I just remember. I think they changed his name too. So he's no longer called Davros or whatever it was, because apparently that's like insulting to Greeks or something.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it sounded too much like Davos, where like their overlord has his hand.
That's right. Switzerland. All the mucky mucks go there, and of the World Economic Forum telling everybody, what to do.
Yeah, that's basically where you have like the real like Davros right there. So yeah.
Oh, maybe from someone from the WEF complained and said, "Oh, we believe that you are making fun of all us billionaires trying to tell everybody in the world what to do. We are not like that man in that wheelchair.
Well,
we do not have Daleks that we command to go all over the world and kill people. We would like
it. They're working on it.
We were working on it. We'd like it. but not
Yeah,
yet.
exactly.
Change your monetary policy, or you will be. What is it? You will be. What does the Dalek say? God damn it, Paul! You only know the
Exterminate.
Exterminated.
Exterminate.
I mean, Schwab even looks a bit like Davros, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Jodie Whittaker crashed and burned the series, and now they're trying to pick up the pieces before.
No. They're not trying that. They're basically saying, "Hold my beer." That's what they're doing. They're like, "How can we make it even more woke than it already was?" And they went forth and they did just that.
But yet they made it woke, but they brought Tenet back because they're not fully confident in this. Now,
yeah, but that's the same as them bringing back Patrick Stewart for Picard. When you saw the rest of Picard, they brought him back basically just to apologize for being a white dude. So I give them no pass for that.
So
I
listen,
mean, that's just
while we're on it, I'll tell you my big joke. My big joke is that there's this scene where the alien corrects Tennant's Doctor Who about its pronouns because he initially calls it a he, and then the spoiler alert, this cute, cuddly, furry alien that they're trying to rescue at the very beginning actually turns out to be the bad guy, the bad them.
Oh no, who could see that coming?
And I thought it was a nice twist, actually. I thought it was pretty good. But the joke now is that the bad piece of shit who demanded, the use of pronouns turned out to be the evil bugger.
Yeah.
Which is like every single person on social media. If they've got preferred pronouns in their bios, they're the evil. They're the evil ones. So I think
Welcome
they
to my life.
Made a comment inadvertently. Sorry, I reversed what I was trying to say there. I think that's the funny thing. That's in my video, that the evil person who's trying to destroy the planet has
preferred pronouns. Yeah.
Well, Mecha J has definitely got his $2 worth. So thank you for that, Mecha J.
Think it.
Crit Nature sends in what is that one? That's 20
20 Swiss francs. Speaking
that's
of
what I thought.
Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Crit Nature.
Wow,
yes,
that's good money.
Says it's funny.
We forgive you for Davos.
Says
this time.
It's funny many of these liberals think that movie Get Out is progressive and brave and stunning, but if you saw the movie, it's basically an allegory of modern day Hollywood. The rich family acts exactly like them. Well, yeah, and that movie lost me in the third act anyway, but yeah.
There's a program of critical race people here in Toronto that force isn't the right word, but highly recommend white people of a certain whiteness to de-white themselves by mandatory viewing of Get Out. Mandatory.
Well, could be worse.
But isn't that movie about white people invading the bodies of black people?
I haven't seen it. It's a horror movie. I don't watch horror movies. But I'm just telling you that the certain critical race grifters, this is part of their program, is to force white people to watch Get Out so they can feel what it's like to be a black person.
But doesn't it end with the black buddy's best friend says, "Man, white people, eh?"
No, I have no idea.
Oh man,
no idea.
I haven't seen the movie in years, but
they may not have thought it through, and if there is some hidden message in the movie that subverts what appears to be the message, I'm sure it went straight over their heads. I mean, these people they're evil, but they're not necessarily the brightest.
Oh, listen, not thinking through is that's the go-to position on lots of things.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't so, but
Carnival Cruise used "Lust for Life" as their theme song. It's about heroin. Yeah. So, and apparently that was a huge campaign using what's his name's "Lust for Life."
Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop. Yes, one of my favorite songs, favorite musicians. And so they Carnival Cruise Lines, "Lust for Life."
Well, presumably they didn't use all of the lyrics.
I think they changed the lyrics.
Yeah,
they changed the lyrics there.
Indeed. But thanks for the super chat, Great Nature. Much appreciated. And then moving on from there, Pilgrim Media says for $2, Iger, you don't have to go home, can stay here. Yeah, no, that's entirely right. He needs to go, and so does so many of his employees.
Well, I mean, Disney's done. Who cares? Like,
yeah.
What are you going to do? Like, forget it.
Well,
like,
they're not. They're not done yet. As long as you still have, they have like an infinite money supply to keep on making propaganda.
But we're not going to see it anymore. Like, it's done. We're not going to their parks.
Their outdoor malls? No, we're not going to go to their outdoor malls.
We're kind of done. So stick around, Iger. It's too late. Yeah. You've ruined all the properties that we're interested in that we really loved. So, like, what are you going to do? Ruin them more?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the only thing that'll be impressive about his legacy is like how low can he go this week?
Yeah, but that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah, they can't ruin it more. It's like they can and they will. And until they are actively stopped, and I don't see anyone stopping them. I don't see Hollywood championing against it. I mean, even Disney's own employees, they are so fearful. They have to come to us. They have to come to WDW Pro, and of course, they have to go to Chris Gore in hiding and anonymously because they're afraid they can't speak out. And it's insane because the company is practically burning itself to the ground. The magical castle is on fire, literally right now, figuratively at any rate, as we speak. And no one is supposed to say anything. I mean, it's an insane state of affairs. And unfortunately, it's not going to stop until someone actively goes in and stops it. I mean, Mr. Gore, have you heard anything to indicate that Mr. Iger realizes how bad the situation is and that he's doing anything to root out the activists of the company?
That's a good question.
You haven't heard anything of that sort.
Yep.
Sorry, phone call. I'm gonna have to leave soon. But no, I haven't heard anything about Iger. It's all been business directly, internally at Disney, what it's like to be someone who works in the animation or formerly used to work in that department. And a lot of the best talent is just jumping ship. I mean, look at Lasseter and Skydance, right? Like that. I don't know that John Lasseter is the type of person that enjoys a little Schadenfreude, but yeah. Can I read this one? Maria.
Please. Yeah, this one's for you.
Yeah, Mario Turio for 5 says, no, Chris, these people need to stay the hell away from the Midwest and the South. You can't reason with California crazy. No offense, good sir. First of all, I live here. I love, there's a lot of things I love about California. Having come from the Midwest, I'm from Michigan, but never lost my highly tuned bullshit detector. So when I moved here in 1989, I noticed people were just a little different. So, but I haven't, my point in saying they need to get out, they need to see other points of view and appreciate them. The problem is it's a one-party rule system, and I'm surprised it got to this place. You know, like I do believe that diversity of opinions is a good thing. That's what you need. They're focused on the wrong type of diversity, which is a power move. What I'm saying is if you just got out of your bubble and met real people out in the world, you would change your perspective. What sickens me the most is the profound lack of empathy. There is no empathy whatsoever. And in fact, people who, you know what, I just want to be able to work and make decent money and be able to like afford a home and make a decent living and be able to afford to pay for some entertainment like sports or movies. Those people are vilified even for wanting those things. And we've talked about it, you know, not just here, but on Film Threat, we talk about it, how blue collar people used to be something that Hollywood championed. There were movies dedicated to blue collar folks, right? Like movies like Norma Ray, I mean, on and on, Every Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can. The Clint Eastwood movies was a movie about a guy who had a pet orangutan who was a trucker. you know, among other types of films. And if you think about it, Gary Beekler pointed this out. The original Star Wars is about a farmer, a trucker, and a war veteran. These are blue collar types of jobs. And because there's a lack of empathy, even empathy is the least you should expect. There is no empathy. There's open disdain. And where this arrogance comes from, frankly, well, I blame bad parenting or no parenting. And secondly, I blame the colleges. When you see what's happening at universities across the country, it's unconscionable that this is considered an education to prepare people for the world. It's disgusting. And the best thing you could do, stop hiring these people. Stop hiring these people, and at the very least, stop listening to them if they're in your companies. I do think the only way to really turn around Disney is to mass firings, almost a purge in the way that Elon Musk cleared out Twitter.
Agreed.
I think that's the only way to do it. And you could even fire good people and then rehire them later after you've kind of said, look, here are, and what's annoying to me is I remember good leadership. I remember good leadership in this country, and there has been good leadership at corporations. When a leader specifically states, for example, say a governor of a state might say something that if you commit a crime in the state of California, you will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Those words mean something. They mean something to the people who work on your police force. They mean something to everyone else who works in government, that we're on the same page with goals. But when your weak leadership is what it is, you have the state of what California has become, which is the decline of a state I fell in love with when I moved here, you know, when I was young, and have seen this steady decline and moral decay. And now it's happening within corporations. And there are leaders that they care more about the 22-year-old new hire liking them and being hip than saying, no, that's not the way we do things at the Disney company. We honor the legacy of the man who created this company 100 years ago. And we stand by the core values.
They don't have the guts to say that.
Yes, they don't have the guts to say that. And that's what sickens me.
And do you think maybe California's moral decay kind of coincided with when you arrived?
No. I mean, the 90s was great, to be honest. Like, I thought the 90s was awesome.
I'm just giving you a hard time, Chris.
No, but it just like, yeah, exactly. I'm responsible. But no, but like I've seen, like, you know, they built the metro, which I take, you know, not as often as I used to, but take the metro, connected California. There's a lot of good things, but we can't build anything. We can't even stop crime. And now you look at like cities like LA and San Francisco, you want to buy something of value like makeup, it's behind a lock and key. I mean, it sickens me. It sickens me. Now, look.
Well, that's what happens when you make crime legal.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, that was a terrible message. It doesn't work in practice. Even the look, I think medical marijuana, good thing. Legalizing marijuana, where the unofficial smell of California is now urine because the homeless just live on the streets. And
unless it's San Francisco, then it's poop, from what I understand. But well, I hate to interrupt you, but culture has to be leaving. So I just wanted to say about culture. There's one more super chat left for you, Chris.
Okay,
but culture. Thanks for being here, everyone. Be sure to check out Culture Casino's channel. Anything that you want to plug on your way out the door?
Oh no, thanks for for allowing me on. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun on the stream today, and yeah, we'll be back to dropping videos regularly starting tomorrow. Do check out that Park Place, where I'm doing 1 to 2 minute segments during their 6-segment stream. So check that out, and check out an early morning show over on that Park Place tomorrow, which just happens every Tuesday morning. So check that out as well. Thanks for being in here. Thanks for letting me on, and I will see you later.
Excellent. Paul, you have 2 more minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have 2 more minutes, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Chris, the super chat on screen is for you. Feel free to read it.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Gorbara and Reglengsen Kennel Pla Disney. Plus. There's Mihan for 20 Swedish krona.
That is correct. And what he says in Swedish, which I'm about to butcher, is "Gör bara en regnbågskanal på Disney Plus." And that basically means, yes, go for it. Do a rainbow channel on Disney Plus. He loves the idea.
Well, I think that it basically
bring on Disney Sparkle.
A Disney Sparkle. Look, is it the best idea? Maybe not. But it's a way for a parent to go, just like a rating system, right? The movie rating system is pretty good, actually. If it's an R-rated movie, don't take your kid. And if it's R-rated and they're 16, maybe consider it or learn a little bit about the film, right? Your kids better than a corporation does or a government does. So, create Disney Sparkle, and then you fund whatever you create under the Disney Sparkle banner. You fund it to the level of the audience. And that's the problem, is the content that they're making doesn't reflect the real world. It reflects the world as the executives at Disney would like it to be, instead of the way it is. And I firmly don't even believe that Bob Iger has any values to speak of. I feel like he just sort of blows with the wind. Most of these people in leadership positions, whatever, sort of my young assistant thinks this. Well, I want to be cool, and I'm gonna impress that young assistant by, somehow coming on this side of this opinion on something. It's ridiculous. I've seen it. It's weakness, and I don't know what to say. I
agree with you, Chris.
Yeah, well, I've just never given a shit. I don't care. Film Thread has been my project that's spanned more than half my life. I started it when I was 19. I was a kid, 100 years ago. And no. But I don't know. It's kind of been this, at least Film Thread, I've a disruptive force for good. And we have, in many cases, championed a lot of small indie movies. We still do that to this day, but also movies that are that espouse some of the value. Look, we cover drag queen documentaries, fine, but we also cover, conservative and religious films as well. But what I've seen is this values that don't resonate in mainstream entertainment, and also in a way that is offensive in terms of the way it's pushing an agenda. And that is, to me, it's wrong. And I do think that leadership matters. Things you say matter. I'm old enough to remember when a politician gave a speech and I got chills and choked up.
Mm-hmm.
Decades ago, even you look
here in Canada, our Prime Minister Chrétien actually choked someone.
Yeah.
Better. But what I'm saying is, God, you look back at W. W was criticized often for the way he spoke. He wasn't quite clear. He's a genius compared to the current administration. So it's
although a great deal of the woke stuff can be laid at his feet with the No Child Left Alone program. That really kickstarted a lot of this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, I can recall leadership and, where they said things that were inspiring, that made you go, you know what, I'm going to work harder at what I do because I want to aspire to that. Right. And we've lost, where are the positive leaders? And I feel like a lot of this, especially rates of depression in teens and young people, is all related to a lot of propaganda that pushes, this Chicken Little, the world's going to end. What's the point? And I think they kind of want that, they want not any sort of level of positivity or hard work being rewarded. There's a movie actually that we reviewed on the Film Thread. Just if you go to the Film Thread channel, you can look up under our reviews or whatever. It's called Common Ground. And it's a documentary that totally pushes back against all the climate alarmism. And it's a really, really amazing documentary. The trailers on the Film Thread trailers channel. And then you can watch the trailer, but you can also see Alan's review. But it's a film that just pushes back against all the climate alarmism that might be being used in a way that may not be positive. Anyways, I got to run, but thank you. I always enjoy spending my money. Hey,
got one more for you.
Okay, 52 movies a year for $4.99. California is just China import hub, Chris. Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, it is. All right, I got to go. I think Temu is delivering something at my door right now.
All right, thanks for being here.
All right, yeah, thanks. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Take care.
Later.
Yeah.
Bye.
And since we are also about to lose Chato here, ActionCom says for $5, Chato, can you do a reading of Marvin K. Mooney? Will you please go now? By Dr. Seuss, but replace Mooney's name with Bob Iger.
Of Marvin K. Moon, will you please go now? By Dr. Seuss. I think I have every single one of his books. I don't know that one. I'll have to look that up. What?
Well, can you say challenge accepted?
Sure. Will you?
That's what it sounded like.
Please go now. I know. There's the book, the Places You'll Go, which I really love. I love that one. Seuss. Okay. Wow. I'll have to look that one up. I thought I had all his books because we read them to our kid. Although my daughter loved it, my son hated them. And I telling myself, like, what the hell are we doing with all these books now, you useless child?
Yeah, how inconsiderate.
Yeah, one of the things that you learn with your kids is all the things that your first kid liked and wanted to do, and your second kid doesn't want to do the same stuff. And you're going, I just learned how to parent my first kid, and now, oh my God, kids!
Yeah, now you have to relearn it one more time for the second. Yeah,
and you have to do all this new stuff. Like, what's
going on?
I'm
in the middle of it.
Yeah, you figured it out. Okay, I got it done. I figured it out, and you're not letting me use the same stuff. Jesus, Murphy.
Yeah, it was already paid for and everything. We're going to save some money now.
Yes. Now we have to buy new books and new shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No more ballet lessons for you, son.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for joining us today. Is there any new videos of yours that?
Yeah, I will have 2 videos up today. I'll see whether I burn myself out because I've now got 2 channels. So I'll have the review of Doctor Who up like in no time on my Call Me Chato channel, and I will have some great, funny, horrific, social justice BS news on my new news channel called Appalling News, and that's some pretty amazing.
I think this one's for you too. Here, Wolven Weaver sends in 5 and says, "What franchises are left to kill?" Well, they're going after anime adaptations now, putting Tasha Howe in charge of Naruto adaptation. So yeah.
Really? Oh my God! Well, Naruto's dead anyway. Let him kill it.
Yeah. Oh, Tasha Howe is going to kill it real dead. And following up from there, Dash Attack says for $9.99. Thank you so much, Dash Attack. That really helps us out here. The long in development Naruto movie from Lionsgate now has a confirmed screenwriter who apparently is also doing the Tomb Raider animated series.
Oh my God!
Yoshimoto, the creator, must oversee the film like Ota.
Well, we'll see. I don't see how you do a Naruto live action. We'll see.
Well, we're about to find out, I guess. Well, we'll eventually find out.
It's got lots of material to work from.
Yeah. Worst case, you'll get loads of videos that you need to do on it.
Yeah, so, that's true.
That. Yeah, you'll be.
So that's it. That's what I got. Oh, and my. I mean, listen. I'd like to thank everybody out there who's been supporting me on my new news channel, Appalling News, because. It's almost at 2,000 subscribers, which is just insane, and that's only in a week, less than a week. So thank you very much.
How long did it take to get 2,000 subs on your primary channel?
3 months, 4 months, maybe longer. So, but
there's many YouTubers out there who are a little salty about that. That's pretty good. What? About the quickness that you gain subs on your first channel.
Oh, well,
they're jealous. They're jealous.
My second channel, you mean?
Or yeah, your second. Sorry, your second.
Second channel.
Appalling
Well, that can be
news.
salty.
Yes.
I've worked hard for my YouTube
Yeah,
Oh, I
notice.
know.
it didn't happen on its own.
Yeah. So
Just
thank
think,
you
come
very much,
spring,
everybody.
You'll have another silver plaque on springtime.
That's what I'm going to
yeah.
do. Try and go for another. That I need 4,000 hours now. That's why I need to crank out my videos. And I'm going to do one news item a day. Well, see if I can do it. Anyways, thank you very much, folks. I'm actually off to do all that stuff. I appreciate the time you've given me, and have a good rest of the day.
Bye, Paul.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. All right. And with that, let's go back to the top with the super chats. And quite fittingly, Ministry of Wrongthink says from the top, it's a flop. That's a trash-ass movie. Bring a bucket and a mop for this trash-ass movie. Wish, please. So yeah, I guess this was like some kind of melody from the movie. So I will not be singing because I don't do singing. But yeah, that sounded beautiful in reading it. Ministry of Wrongthink also says for another $4.99, what's with the watch/likes ratio? Like the stream, you peasants. Of course, that's Wrongthink's words, but I do agree with the sentiment. Everyone, please smash that like. We have about 2,000 watching, so we should be having way more than 1,000 likes by now.
Yeah, and almost 100 people watching on Rumble too.
Yeah, awesome. And Accident Seller says for 100 Norwegian krona, off topic. Branagh doesn't strike me as being overly woke, so I saw A Haunting in Venice now, and it's pretty good. A few throwaway woke lines like in The Batman, but a pretty solid movie, 7.5 out of 10. And I agree. I've liked all of the new Poirot movies, but especially Haunting in Venice. I thought that was a really cool movie, and we'll be doing some more stuff on Branagh's Poirot in the not too distant future here. So stay tuned for that.
Indeed. And let's see what else we got here. We've got sorry, I had to scroll up here. Walt Man, who says if Hollywood is still into filming at locations that won't gel with them, then Argentinian and Netherlands are on the list now with $4.99. Thank you for that, Walt Man.
Yeah, because they recently had elections, and those elections, the winners were, shall we say, people of political persuasions that are deemed problematic by the ruling elite in California and Hollywood. So yeah, we'll see if that influences future filmmaking decisions. But I don't know how many movies or Hollywood movies went to Argentina or the Netherlands to film in the first place. So
not many tax credits in those two regions.
Yeah, so it might not be the biggest threat for the success of the new governments there. And then Horseradish Power has been a member for 13 months and says Hollywood needs the public. We don't need them. At this point, it can just shut down and give us a break. We will be just fine without you, Hollywood. Yeah, I saw a lot of people being saddened when the strikes were over because they wanted them to keep lasting for a bit longer.
Wouldn't change. I mean, you still have to get your entertainment from somewhere, and I'm all down for independence. But again, the independents, which are the alternatives, will always become the mainstream, and you'll be right back where we were a few months ago. It's always going to be that way, no matter how much you wish it not.
So just enjoy this. What is best in whichever part of the cycle we happen to be in right now.
Yeah,
then,
we've got an archive of wonderful content already that can hold you over until the next generation comes in and reinvigorates it. So don't worry.
Exactly. And ETEP Voquians, the place to be reviews, says for $5. Thoughts on the accusations of alleged misconduct against Brian Fuller and what it means for the Friday the 13th Crystal Lake series moving forward. I have not heard much about this. Tom, do you know anything about these accusations against Fuller and what they might mean for Crystal Lake?
I think Tom had to step away, but I've got a Variety article up here, and I'll just read from it. Fuller is accused of making constant references to masturbation, engaging in casual bullying, and creating a hostile work environment. And I'll stop there because it gets kind of graphic.
Huh.
So, not sure how that's going to affect Friday the 13th, but allegations.
Honestly, I hope it won't, because he really did amazing in his Hannibal series, and him doing a Friday 13th series, to me, that's a very interesting prospect. So I hope, but I honestly don't know what the fallout of it might be. I mean, it's going to be dealing with the fallout of both writer and actor strikes. So it's going to have like the deck stacked against it to begin with. Script, what say you?
Don't know. Definitely could put a pause on things for Brian. According to the Variety article, the person that's accusing him has revealed their name, so they're not hiding behind anything. No anonymity there. So we'll have to see how this plays out. For now, the studio that's probably backing these productions are very most likely incredibly annoyed and upset by this recent reveal and set of allegations. So yeah, unfortunately, gotta have to wait and see.
Yeah, because this actually can derail the whole thing, can't it? I mean, if they decide, we can't go forward with Fuller now, and I don't know how much traction this series has without Fuller.
Yeah, unless there's someone else at that wants to push it forward and say, okay, we're going to do it without Fuller. I mean, that's one heck of a decision to make, especially before any sort of either police or civil case is brought forth. So yeah, it's definitely a wrench thrown into the gears that the people behind Crystal Lake don't want to have happen right now. So such a thing could kill the project entirely, or it could be pushed through with a different showrunner, a different creator, which means that's probably not going to have the same impact as whatever Brian Fuller's initial plans were, and it either might fail or struggle or not.
This is news to me.
Yeah.
So I think it's very early to tell. But yeah, this can be bad for the series. It absolutely can. This can derail the whole thing. Depending on
now, is he one of these people that's like wrapped up in this whole fucking thing? Because all right, there was a shit ton, and I mean a shit ton. This is where all these came from the other day of cases filed against celebrities because of a statute of limitation that was coming up. Was he one of the people that was wrapped up in this, or is that something else?
No, this is something that occurred while they were doing the Queer for Fear series, which came out last year. So there's no statute of limitations.
Okay.
This is very, very recent.
Okay. All right. I see here. This is a month ago. How did we not hear about this? This is a month ago. Interesting. Oh, so this is the first I heard about it. So
yeah. Caught us by surprise, but we'll see what happens. But it's not good news because now there is some level.
Okay, this is what they're being accused of. Accused of constant references to masturbation, engaging in casual bullying, and creating a hostile work environment. Well, if this is true, then we better run because Culture is going to totally fucking sue us.
We're sorry.
So he made some off-color jokes, basically. I don't know about the bullying part, but I mean,
well, supposedly somebody pushed something up against somebody else too.
Oh, okay. Well, if there was any physical things, then I don't know. But the rest of it sounds kind of like just some pussy snowflake bullshit. But that's just my observation so far. I don't know enough about it to comment further.
Yeah, we don't know. Like we don't have any information.
It just, from what I'm reading here, it sounds a lot like the Bill Murray situation, but without any more information, I can't say more.
Yeah. So we're just gonna have to wait for more information. But this thing right here, if this doesn't go away very, very soon, well, it's potentially very bad news for.
Well, I'm not defending anything, Joe. Like I said, I don't know enough. But again, at the same time, I also know there's a lot of people who get very overly sensitive about stupid shit in the workplace nowadays. But anyway, Accident Seller sends in 50 Norwegian krona and says, I saw a clip from the new Doctor Who episode, and no way I'm going to watch that. The TARDIS, more like the retardis. Oh. Well, yeah, I haven't been a Whovian for many years. I've never actually been a huge Who fan. I remember watching it from time to time on PBS as a kid, but yeah. Someone sounds like it's not getting any better. It's like how much more woke can they get? It's like, here, hold my beer kind of thing is what it sounds
exactly.
like.
Exactly. It is very much a case of, here, hold my beer. It does seem like that.
Or we should just change it to hold my Bud Light. That is more fitting, I think. Jesus Davila is gifted a membership. Thank you for that, Jesus. Accident Seller sends in another 50 Norwegian krona. Thank you for that. And says, breaking news, early wish draft, white girl magic. Asha enthusiastically yelled and transformed into fairy godmother. Yeah. They wouldn't let white girls have magic anymore. Hoopalulu sends in $9.99, says, where or when can someone snip the Activision problem out before it affects a movie? From what you are all saying, it sounds like Wish was failing as soon as the idea started due to activism. Well, no, the initial kernel, the idea, from my understanding, actually is a pretty sound and decent idea for Disney to run with for their 100th anniversary. It just sounds like all the other politics and cooks in the kitchen ruined that idea. And it became, from what
happened during the development stage.
Yeah. So go ahead, Script. You may have a better answer for this.
Yeah, because Chris Gore said it was basically a story about the origin of the song "When You Wish Upon a Star." Now, for those of you that don't know, the first two lyrics are "When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are."
Right.
It's basically about an egalitarian thing where anybody can wish upon a star, and ideally it will come true. And what we have here is something that is ripe for the poaching for politically ideologued activists who want to push their ideology, because it's like, oh yeah, everybody, it's all equal, it's all equity, it's all diversity, inclusion, equity. It's ripe for that being exploited by, and that apparently seems to be what agenda was pushed. Oops, sorry, hit my mic there. What agenda was pushed when it came to the development of this project, and for Disney, these are assignment projects, meaning that they're internally developed, and then they search for writers to come in and deliver the expectations that they have for this project, and that's what they did. And unfortunately, it just so happens that it's at a time when Disney was thinking more about what they're currently doing now, as opposed to what would be best to mark the centennial of Disney's existence. And yeah, it's really a tragic thing, because the premise is excellent, and I think it'd be great. And it is about, kind of essentially the origin of the fairy godmother, because at the end of the song, it says she will grant your wish or something to thereof. It specifically says that she is doing it. So I think the idea of, having some sort of evil guy character picking and choosing wishes based on their own stuff, and then a woman saying, well, everyone should have the opportunity, is a fine premise, but they just kind of took it way further, way further than it ever needed to go.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is a kind of an interesting idea, and the idea was there, and they just didn't seem to want to stick with that. They wanted to inject more and more politics and turn it into a white man bad slavery story, it sounded like to me.
They manipulated it for their own agenda.
Do it, the only way is to basically, you need to fire everyone who could do it, and Disney doesn't have the will for that.
No, I guarantee you, if you gave that concept to John Lasseter, he would have ran with it. And right now, you would see little star figures everywhere. It would be a decent film and all that kind of business, because it would just deal with the idea that, like Script said, the first line in the song, when you wish upon a star, doesn't matter who you are. So that's just the first person to wish upon a star, or maybe this star falls from the sky and it's this little magical star. Like, there's all kinds of places you could go with that have nothing to do with fucking agendas. Right?
Yeah. The thing is, what makes a fairy godmother a godmother? Obviously, the nurturing. What examples have we seen? We've seen it in Pinocchio. We've seen it in Cinderella, where she comes in and she gives an opportunity for the wisher, and it's up to the wisher to make that wish have meaning. And that's the nurturing aspect of it. There's definitely a maternal aspect that could have been used or exploited or explored. That was a better choice of words for it, because that's what it's about. And how do you access the fairy godmother? Well, you wish upon a star. There you go. That's your access, your point of origin, your twinkle in the darkness that gives you hope, is this beautiful a woman who is the fairy godmother to help you achieve your dreams, and because dreams are another part of that song as well. So yeah, they lost the plot, I mean, for the sake of their own agenda.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's unfortunately exactly what happened. And Perilous Plain says for 100 Norwegian krona, the steakhouse taken over by veganism. Yeah, that kind of is what happened there. They were with Wish, they were going to make a beautiful steak commemorating Disney's 100th anniversary. But then vegans got into the building and decided to make it a vegan steak instead. That's literally exactly what happened. Well, not literally, but figuratively, that's what happened. And then John Stalcup says for $5, Angel Studios, The Shift, look at trailer December 1st. I think it will beat the Marvels. I don't know what The Shift is about, but...
I do.
What is it about? Do you think it'll beat the Marvels?
Probably. It's so there's this type of it's got a multiverse aspect to it in the sense that this one man who I saw the trailer with Paul Chato when we went to see Sound of Freedom, and it's got that guy with the silver hair and the striking blue eyes who's character actors and a lot of stuff. I keep forgetting his name. It's like McConaughey or something. So yeah, he plays this type of guy that seems to have power of pulling people from one reality to another. There's like a car accident and restoring life, and about this guy trying to kind of get from underneath this dude's thumb and reunite with the love of his life. Neil McDonough, thank you, Mistletoe. It's a pretty interesting premise. I thought it was neat. It was kind of it's like a love story thriller type of thing, and this guy is very supernatural, and there's
Sean Astin's in it.
Sean Astin's in it. Yeah.
This is Angel Studios putting this out?
I think they're the distributor, but it was done by another indie studio that Angel.
Yeah, because it doesn't. I mean, I haven't watched the trailer yet, but okay, yeah, Angel. Yep, okay. So we possibly could get away with watching it, but I don't want to take a chance. They're pretty good, but I don't. Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I'll have to check out that trailer after the show here. Thank you, John. And then we've got No Comprendo, who says the Neo Bronies. Oh, God, don't even get me started on them. Thank you for the $2, though. Horseradish Power, when I saw the first Captain Marvel trailer, I was in shock. I wondered about how to make her relatable. And I thought, stick her in a McDonald's, and then goes on to say, with another £5. Thank you for that. I ended up writing a novel based on a fast food worker being alien abducted, a fast food worker, I think means, and becomes a hero. Never saw that film in the end, just saying. Oh,
I still haven't finished Captain Marvel.
Hey, it's got a little Last Starfighter element to it. Dig it.
And it has a cat, so I should finish it.
Actually, it has many cats as you get to going there.
That's the Marvels. Yeah.
Captain Marvel just has the one kitty.
That's right.
I think.
There's many kitties in this one.
Yeah, there sure are in the Marvels.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, they're trying to use that to sell the film because they got nothing else. DCV Titan sends in a Canadian $5, says no amount of promotion prepares you for the first 3 minutes of Up. Yeah, no, well, shit. I mean, that's just when Pixar knew how to do it right. Like, because, I mean, that could easily have fallen off as manipulative or cringe so easily, right? Mm-hmm. Like just deviating one little note from where they did, but it was pitch perfect. And that's just where Lasseter comes in, because I guarantee you they went over that first few minutes of that movie for days, if not weeks, to make sure to get it right.
I think that 75% of the focus of that movie was on that opening sequence.
Oh, I guarantee you.
Because that's the one thing they had to get 100% right. Everything else in that movie, that could be configured any number of ways. And the Pixar way of filmmaking is that they do configure it any number of ways, and they basically remake the movie in previs over and over and over and over until they're happy with it. But that intro right there, that had to be perfect and needed to hit every emotional tone all the way. It had to be perfection. So there was no individual part of that movie that more work went into than that intro sequence. And you can tell because what is remembered from that movie is more than anything else the opening sequence. That's where the real heart of the movie is. It's right there.
It's the entire heart of the film, right? Like that's what takes you on the journey after that point.
Yeah,
it's what gives the entire film meaning and focus. And I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, you've never seen it. Oh my God, you'll bawl your brains out. I don't know a single fucking person who can deny that. Like I said, you can try to be the hardest motherfucker going into that, and you still come out of that going weepy as fuck because they know exactly, and they don't even have there's not even one word of dialogue. Not one word of dialogue. Just
even Andre, who's dead inside.
Yes.
Wow.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Wrote it down on my list.
If any, you don't even have to watch the whole movie. Just that, they could have just made that a short film.
You can switch off the rest of the movie after that.
I mean, the rest of the movie's cute, but
I'll turn it off.
It's cute, but
the rest is fine. But that's what you kind of really need is just the first.
You'll like Doug the dog for sure.
If the dog dies,
no, fuck no. But he's the funniest part of the film.
Okay.
No, this isn't Old Yeller.
No. He's got a little collar on that you can actually hear his thoughts. I'm telling you nothing else.
Script, did you cry?
No, but I got really
he's a robot.
I had a feeling Script didn't cry.
No, because
he is Data.
The only thing that keeps me up are really good like father-son moments, and that opening doesn't technically have one, but it does have something tragic with regards to parents. So
okay.
Yeah, it does. It does. So it's gonna hit you no matter who you are. You'll find something in it to hit you.
Good.
Indeed. John Doe is here and sends in $5. Says, was the Disney SEC filing that the agenda is a financial risk to keep older executives getting out of NDAs as whistleblowers? Okay, let me
No.
Yeah, do you understand the question? Because
yes, I understand the question. The premise of the question is why would they admit that their agenda is a financial risk? We have a video coming out about this. So Tom has some editing to do to make sure that it comes out fast. But I'll give you one little spoiler from it. I mean, many take it that they admit that their agenda is a problem. But what they actually do is that they say the audience is the problem. Because the audience have like their opinions, they just change at the drop of a hat. You can't predict the water. They have their agenda, and their agenda is important, and it's good, and it's righteous. Unfortunately, it's the audience who are fickle and who can't agree among themselves and change their opinions all the time. That's the problem. And their agenda just means that they're sometimes slow to react to ever-changing market conditions. It's just an excuse to explain away their flops. That's what it really is.
There you go.
And for more details, check out the video, which will be released as soon as
I find time to edit.
Yeah. Find it in the next few hours here, preferably before Toxic Femininity.
Yeah. And then we got Radio Man 1017 who sends in 5 and says Doctor Who's 60th episode ripped off the plot, name, and look of the alien from Phineas and Ferb episode called The Chronicles of Meep. Look it up. Oh, I haven't seen the episode, so I wouldn't know how to compare it anyway. But if somebody here on the panel has and they want to, go for it. But I believe you, Radio Man. But I'm not going to waste my time watching this stuff. Sorry, guys. This is not one I'm going to take the hit for. I have no frame of reference for it anyway. STR Red Wolf sends in 5 and says, Tom Baker is the best doctor. Changed my mind. I'm not going to try.
No,
you don't have to. Yes, exactly.
I mean, he's one of the first people I think of when people mention it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only one who disagreed on this panel was Paul Chato because Eccleston is his favorite doctor. But for the rest of us who either don't know or who have taste and who are smart enough to realize, Tom Baker, he's a real doctor. Yeah. And Ben Dowdy has been a member for 13 months. Congrats, and we're glad to have you.
Yes, indeed. DCV Titan says in Canadian Toonie and says, yeah, it went from Doctor Who to Doctor Why God Why. Yeah. Zephyr sends in $2 Canadian and says, my pronouns are over this trash. Yeah, I hear you, brother. Marksman 117B sends in $4.99, says, Get Out is basically white people turning black people white so white people can feel comfortable around black people. I guess. I mean, here's my problem with that movie, and it's been a couple of years since I've seen it, but like the first 2/3 of the film, I get kind of this aspect of like there's something to that, but then it goes completely off the rails in that third act, and I have no idea what the fuck they're trying to say with it. Because it goes into this really weird territory of like body swapping and shit. Like it just gets dumb. And it's just, yeah. It's like, are they trying to get it to like, do they want to be black or do they want to be white? Are they trying to make the black people white? It's like, I was trying to go and figure it all out. And then the third act just goes completely batshit crazy insane. I'm just like, whatever, you know. It just lost me. DWD Amateur has been a member for 8 months. Thank you for that. And then we got Thomas Payne, who sends in $5 and says, please consider having on Dr. Robert M. Price. Who's Robert Price? I'm not sure if I know this individual. He's an editor and the author of Flashing Swords, Volume 6, and a conservative, I think, shunned from Lib Scholar YouTube. The name sounds kind of familiar, but I can't place it. So we'll have to investigate that. Thank you, Thomas Payne, for the suggestion. Jason Webster says, I like the Poirot. Did I say it right this time?
No, Poirot.
Poirot. Films
Without
directed. Well, you sound like you got an R in.
Poirot. Yeah,
what the hell is ro? That's not an R.
But you had an R after the P, and there's not supposed to be one there. You
Poirot.
Poirot. There you got it. Yeah.
Okay. It's the same thing I was saying to me.
Yes, I was going to say it sounds the same every time you say it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not saying anything different than the last time, but okay.
Must be a Wisconsin.
Well, you went from Perot to Poirot, so it's a huge progress.
Well, no, Wisconsin is parrot. It's a parrot film. We just fucking say shit. We don't. This is why I do. We don't fucking care what it's supposed to be. We just look at it. It says that. Okay, we're done. Move on. Anyway, I like the Parole film directed by star Kenneth Branagh 200. Yeah, I've enjoyed him quite a bit, Jason Webster. Not so much the second one as much, and that was just because it just felt like the changes were unnecessary mostly. But same thing with the first one. But this third one, I'm not as aware of the book, so that maybe that helps. I mean, I know the book, but I haven't read it, so I couldn't tell you what was different between the Halloween party and Haunting in Venice. But it didn't seem like they made any weird oddball changes to the story to fit some, agenda like they did in the first film, or just kind of weird changes like they did in the second film for no good reason. But other than that, no, I would say the third film is probably the best of the series so far. And I think you agreed with me, Andre.
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it. I also think it's because it's a slightly lesser known story. That there's going to be lesser expectations, and they're going to be able to take some more freedom to make it stand out. Because I've said before, all the Poirot stories have already been filmed in their definitive editions in the series starring David Suchet. So they have to stand out. And what they do is that they have a Poirot who is actually closer to the Poirot of the books, because Kenneth Branagh actually, yes, he's the one that looks more like Poirot as he's described in the books. But then they can take some more liberty in the stories, which they have to, because again, they've already been done to perfection. Are you going to do shot-for-shot remakes of the TV series? No, you have to find some other ways to stand out. And where they truly found their feet in doing that, I thought, was in The Haunting in Venice. Too bad the marketing let that movie down.
Absolutely. But people wouldn't have seen it just the same. I think it could have done much better, though. But Antoinette says there are no ghosts or seances in the book. Okay.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Good addition. Good addition.
Yeah, and seeing the beauty of it is they're not really ghosts in the movie either. Spoiler.
Yeah.
But no, like that's why I love this story, because it's the one time where Poirot is actually kind of proactive in the story itself as part of the story and not after the fact, right? Because like it's kind of that way in the second film, but like he's still kind of on the side of things. In this film, he's in the thick of it. This challenges him head on. It really uses all his abilities to figure this shit out. And I love how, you know, the movie plays out and it's not distracting itself with all the cameo casting as much as the first two films, if that helps as well, if that makes sense. I mean, yeah, there's a great cast here and you got like some big names, but it's not to the extent of like they're making a big deal out of it, right? Like I think Michelle Yeoh was like one of the only people they made a big deal out of in the trailer. But I mean, I didn't even realize what's her face from SNL was in it until I saw the film from 30 Rock and stuff. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, the one who she's like the one who did like the that politician.
Tina Fey. That's what I was gonna say. Is it Tina Fey? Was it her? I keep swapping her with the other one. I keep thinking that's the other one.
Tina Fey.
Yeah, I keep getting those two mixed up for some reason.
No, it's Tina Fey.
It is Tina Fey. Okay, I second guessed myself for no good reason. And she was actually halfway decent in the movie. I didn't hate her. So like, I mean, I don't normally hate her, but she's not somebody I generally like go out of my way to watch her stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but no, she was kind of decent in the film, and the rest of the cast was really good, and they weren't distracting like the second and first film were because they were so famous. But yeah. Jason Webster says, so far Disney's Wish has only earned US 49 million worldwide against a budget of 200 million. Yikes. Yes. And thank you for the Australian 5, Jason. In fact, because of this super chat, we have now made more money than Disney has on Wish.
We actually have. I mean, that's the irony. That's a movie that the only one who's going to be making any kind of money on are content creators on YouTube and other platforms, because Disney ain't making squat on this. Yeah. Don't everyone talk all at once here. And Jason Webster says for $5 Australian with Wish, like most of its 2023 releases, at risk of sounding like the title of a Dire Straits song, Disney likes burning money for nothing. They get no chicks for free.
No chicks for free.
But yeah, no, all their releases have kind of like been a competition of, can you top our most recent flop?
Hold my Bud Light. Zion42 sends in $5, says, Tom, please defend Brian Fuller's right to be presumed innocent before cancel. Well, I mean, I kind of did as best I could without knowing any more about the situation. I mean, just from what I read in the article, it sounded like some pretty weak sauce, let's be real. Unless there's actually some more to it that I don't know about, or it goes a little deeper, like I think Script was pointing out, or was it U6 that pointed out there was some accusation of somebody poking somebody with something or other. I don't know, but
there was some physical contact, inappropriate.
Yeah, if that's the case, I can't really, look, being on a film set or a TV show set is a really strange place. I have not been on many, but I know that they kind of feel a lot like summer camp in a sense to where everybody's fucking everybody. That
did not happen when I went to summer camp.
It's a big fucking it depends on when you go. Like I went to I'm talking like high school summer camp. Yeah. I didn't go to summer camps in quotations until I was an adult, ish kid, teenager,
went to summer camp as an adult. Okay.
Well, it was like acting camp and shit like that. Yeah.
Band camp. Okay.
Summer camp, band camp. Yeah. Whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Everybody is presumed should be presumed innocent before without it, their day in trial or whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
everyone should be, but it seems like in this community, it depends on who you are.
That's a fair point, but then again, this went completely under the radar. This is the first time hearing about it, and the story came out a month ago, so that means the story hasn't really gained much traction. Kind of like the Bill Murray story, where it just kind of blew up and then went away. Because a lot of people read into it, they're like, okay, so they just destroyed this whole project over a couple of fucking jokes. So, I mean, if it's something like that, then I can see, it's kind of a big much to do about nothing. But at the same time, if there's somebody who feels like they were physically assaulted in some way, then it should be investigated and stuff. But I mean, look, it's just, I'm not trying to defend any behavior on a film set either. I'm just saying that some people presume certain things sometimes. Like they think they're around people that they can say and joke about certain things, and then they find out later that's not the case.
Well, we're about to lose script, and I'd like to ask you this real quick, script. What is the atmosphere on a film set? Is it like Tom Summer Camp?
And only on the independent side of things to tell us like that. On the professional side, yeah, some relationships happen and there's some charged chemistry, but it doesn't happen during production. It's usually like, oh, these two went home together that night, they did something, and then they came in the next morning, and now they're just working. It's very professional, like it's obscenely professional. The rumors of that stuff happens after sets are closed, like it's shut down for the night and what have you. Romances blossom usually when production has wrapped. The only time I've ever seen finagling of that sort is in the independent sphere, where people have never worked on a professional set before, and they assume that it's like a party working on film, and it's not. It's actually incredibly strict. Every second has a dollar value to it. Nobody messes around. If you come from indie and you go to a professional set and you make any sort of joke or say something after the AD has told everyone to be quiet, you are ejected out. Like there's no tolerance for horseplay or anything of that nature on a studio set. So yeah,
that's how Meg Ryan ruined a marriage. But anyway,
Dennis.
That's what I was kind of more referring to, script, to be honest. Like I'm kind of talking more about like, look, and this is where I say all the time, like, look, chances are if they got good chemistry on screen, that's probably because they've been fucking the whole time. Like it's just the way it is. You get two good looking people together in a place like that where they're far away from their family, friends, and loved ones. Shit's gonna happen. I mean, but I wasn't trying to project this whole idea of that it's a big sex party either. I'm just saying, yeah.
Sometimes I've seen some where two married couples, they're working on a film together. They have great chemistry, but they did not go home that night at all, or any nights afterwards.
Well, you can have that as well, but
because there's some actors that are very professional and they don't do that stuff, and then there's some that are very professional but don't care and do that stuff. Usually the ones that are method actors lean into that a lot.
But you'll have your Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie moments, or your Meg Ryan moments.
Well, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, that was during the peak where Jennifer Aniston was busy with her last season of Friends, so they didn't even see each other through that entire production.
Oh no, I'm just saying, it's just one of those things. Tensions, sometimes sexual tensions happen, and
sometimes it happens. I've actually seen more situations where an actor ends up dating a member of the crew instead of another cast member at the end of a production, more so.
Okay, you can't justify cheating by saying sometimes it just happens.
I don't justify it. I'm saying sometimes.
No, I meant Tom, because Tom was the one who said sometimes sexual.
No. I'm not justifying any cheating whatsoever.
Okay. Well, because I thought you were referring back to Brad Pitt.
No. Well, in that case, no. I was talking about how that they actually got together on the set and that ruined a marriage, right? Like that's it was so public. But I'm talking about the ones that aren't so public. But it does happen, and you'll be more often than not lately. I hear about a lot of these marriages in Hollywood where the only reason they last is because they're open marriages anyway.
Like Will Smith and Jada Pinkett
were, but they fell apart because they started telling each other about who they were fucking. That's the problem, right? Because a lot of these marriages work because they just don't talk about it at home, right? Their home life is their home life, and their other life is their other life. And the other party can generally understand because they're a pretty person too, and they understand what it's like to be constantly offered sex, right? So it's just one of those fucking things. I'm sure. I'm not saying that either party is okay with it all the damn time, but it's just it's a more and more common thing I've heard in the last few years than ever before. And a lot of them, it's coming from older partners and stuff like that too, which is funny. But
there is a weird stigma. Like I know a bunch of young actors that they get married and they dedicate themselves to fidelity, and then they get a divorce, and then the second marriage is nothing like a faithful marriage afterwards.
Right.
With the older ones, I don't know all the situations. I do know some that are ridiculously faithful to the point where I've like seen them at parties where as soon as stuff got weird, they were the first ones to get out of there, and we're asking, well, why are they leaving? And then we turn around, we're like, oh, that's happening. We're getting the hell out of here too. It's like that's basically it. But yeah, like it's not a one size fits all in the industry when it comes to romance.
Oh no, and especially when it's an industry of depravity. And yes, D-Bud, me and Culture are very public with our relationship. Yes. You guys see it every day. Jason Webster says to say letting John Lasseter from Pixar go was a mistake by Disney is an understatement of the decade. Oh, absolutely. I mean, we can't stress
What
that.
one has to keep in mind is that the whole reason for buying Pixar in the first place was to get
Lasseter. Yeah.
Without Lasseter, Pixar is just a name, which is what it is now.
Yeah. So yeah. And then he goes, I stopped watching their content. Oh, this is a different one. Camelbot Killer sends in $5, says, blame the audience. Sounds like normal CEO BS. Since I heard Disney was starting to go woke, I stopped watching their content. I love my anime. Well, hopefully they don't come for your anime next, but it does sound like
they're already there.
Next on the platter, yeah.
Yep.
Or whatever. And then we've got Jason Webster again. Or wait, we got this one already.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did get that one. Yeah.
Unless he sent it twice. Chaos Sonic 1 sends in $5 and says, if they say it's audience is if they say it is the audience that is the problem, then they deserve failure. So expect Disney to fail worse than the trust in game journalists.
That's what we're seeing right now, isn't it?
Yeah, we are.
That's why we have these box office numbers.
I think you had to step away for a second there. Then we got Mr. Burger in the house. I got your shirt today and it's a little small. Or actually, I got it like 2-3 days ago, but yeah. But I do have it. I showed it off on a Flashcast the other night. Mr. Burger sends in $20. Says, Midnight's Edge crew, please congratulate Tom. Tom is the 2023 Mr. Burger General Knowledge Trivia Champion, and he's a super awesome dude. Lisa Lopez, Moromi, VK, and 53 others are coming for you in 2024, Tom. Yeah, I know. What's funny is I didn't even start playing until near the end of this year. So, and I'm already the winner. I don't know. They got a lot to chase after. Camelbot Killer says Monty Python Holy Grail in theaters Sunday. Oh, wow. Cool. And Boy and the Heron next week. Thursday, Mark Hamill, Robert Pattinson, Christian Bale, and Willem Dafoe, and more. Thank you for the $5, Camelbot Killer. And yeah, I did not know about Monty Python coming back to theater. Or is this just a local thing for you?
Probably a local thing.
Yeah, I was going to say. But yeah, that's cool. Last Millennial says, Tom having a hard time saying Norwegian words is hilarious. Tom, can you try saying the Norwegian name Hugh Janus? No. I know what you want me to say.
Hugh Janus?
It's Hugh Janus. I've seen enough Simpsons. Moe's Tavern. ActionCon says, Andre, have you figured out what Nefafitataful is yet? Evidently not.
Is that's a Norwegian word?
I don't know.
I don't think it's game.
Food. Maybe
it's a board game known as the Viking game.
Oh. It's not on the Sega Genesis. Where did Andre step away to? He must have.
Maybe he had to go potty.
That already lost his connection.
I'm here. I was just muted. So yeah, no, I did figure it out, but I forgot again because
it's a Norwegian game, I guess.
Yeah, but it doesn't help if it's Norwegian if it's not on the Mega Drive.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
It's a board game, I guess.
Translates to fist table.
Fist table?
Fist table.
That sounds engaging.
It does, but I have not played it, so I have to give you feedback when I return to Norway. See if my friends are playing it there. Then I'll pick up on it.
Yeah.
Look out for the video on it coming to Midnight's Edge.
Yeah, right. Channel. Yeah. Deform 5 to 1 sends in 5 and says Monty Python is a Fathom event. Oh, interesting. Maybe I'll have to see if I can catch that. I don't know. I get to go see Godzilla in 2 days, though. I know that. That's gonna be fun. I went and got my tickets for that.
2 days?
The 29th.
Huh.
On Wednesday.
Oh.
At 3 p.m.
Lucky.
Yeah, I know. That's the only day they're showing it here. So, Doll Life Dan sends in 5 and says, Kishimoto let the author of Naruto's sequel Boruto ruin everything without stepping in. I don't expect him to protect Naruto like Oda did for One Piece. Well, that could be a problem then, yeah. Yeah. That's right, Paulie. Godzilla Wednesday night. Are you getting to go see it Wednesday night too? Cool. So yeah, with that, we have all the super chats caught up. Was there any Rumble rants that we may have missed?
There are not.
All right. Andre, was there anything else on the docket?
Only Napoleon, but
and what did you think? You saw it.
I did see it. I liked it. I greatly enjoyed it. It was far better than I thought it was going to be. I was engaged the entire time. It's an almost 3-hour-long movie, but it didn't feel 3 hours long. If you had told me, if I didn't know, and you had told me afterwards that you had now been sitting here 1 hour, 50 minutes, I would have believed you, because I was that engaged throughout the entire thing. I thought it was really, really good. It's a part of history I do not know too much about, other than, of course, that we are still dealing with the repercussions of the Napoleon Wars. They really, really reshaped the entire political landscape. They set the stage for World War I, which set the stage for World War II, which is still with us to this day by way of the Cold War and everything. So really, our entire history was shaped by Napoleon. I only wish that it would have gone a little bit more into the international politics of it, because we see so much from his point of view. But what we see is accurate. How basically he started out really, really this really skilled commander, and then he kind of like started believing his own hype a little bit, and then he went into like this one ginormous defeat against the Russians, which kind of ended him, which he never really recovered from. But all in all, I liked it. I liked the movie. I was pleasantly surprised to see that, whoa, Ridley Scott made this, because it actually made sense. Now, maybe if I were to read more of the history, I would change my mind a little bit more about it. But being just vaguely familiar with this part of history, and just seeing the movie, I was very pleasantly surprised by it.
You're probably better off not doing the research from what I've heard, because like historians have just gone out against this movie big time. I'm surprised to hear you liked it as much as you did, considering, but curious how it'll stack up to the 4-hour cut.
I definitely have to read the history now, so I won't like it anymore after the fact, probably. But upon watching it, I enjoyed it. So I will enjoy it until I read about the actual history, probably. From what I could tell, though, at least from what little I know, most of like the main things were there and did happen. But again, that's my very layman knowledge of that part of history.
Yeah. So, well, I'm curious how it'll stack up against the 4-hour cut as well when that drops. Because I think I heard that's dropping next month already.
Can't wait.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm serious. Like, it's not even a joke this time. Like, the version that's dropping on Apple is supposed to be like 4 hours. So he already did another cut already. Crit Nature sends in another 5 Swiss francs. Thank you for that. Or is that Swiss francs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Come on, Andre. Tell your friends to get the ships ready. After the Doctor Who debacle, it seems like an invasion is long overdue again in Britain. Well,
I think we can get in line, because by the looks of it, Britain has already been invaded, and we need to kick out the other invaders. So yeah, I think that might be more trouble than it's worth.
A liberation, you mean?
Yeah. We'd have to conduct like a special military operation to liberate the UK. If we were in a remotely good place to be able to carry out such an operation, then that might be a good idea. But I'm
a big promoter of liberating the liberals, because what we've been seeing is very illiberal, regressive behavior. It's so far out there. It's like, what are you guys doing? You can't have liberty you can't have liberals without liberty, and liberty is awesome. Let's have that.
Yeah.
Indeed. And with that, we're caught up again. So I guess Andre recommends Napoleon. So there you go.
Yeah, unless you're a historian, because then probably you'll tear it apart. But probably so will I, and probably so will I after I read the history. But right now, in the bliss of relative ignorance, I enjoyed it. So enjoyed it with hedges. We'll see how long that lasts.
All right. Well, I want to thank Paul and Culture for being here earlier. I want to thank Script for being here. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah. So yesterday I dropped my review of the Lita Kalogridis 2002 Red Sonja script that was unproduced, that had a very, very, very strong first act. And so if you're a fan of the Hyborian Age, Conan, Red Sonja stuff, you'll get a kick out of that review. And I'm currently working on a few others. I'm just waiting for final permissions to share the script links with my patrons on those ones upcoming. So be sure to check out my Patreon for that.
And the link for that is, of course, in the description. So yeah, check that out.
Indeed. And yeah, I want to thank Six for helping us today with producing and modding and all the mods in the chat. I see D-Bud still here. I think Natasha was here. Who else was here? Help me out, Six.
I want to welcome Daryl Brewer. He's our latest mod.
Yeah.
Just got christened with a golden shower from Andre.
Ooh. Well, wait.
Yeah, so
yeah, you can't even blame us for that one.
Toxic Femme tonight?
Yes, there should be.
Yeah, there should be. And another video should be dropping as well, namely our post-mortem on Wish and breakdown of the form that is making the rounds right now. So yeah, you definitely do not want to miss out that.
Well, and speaking of getting wet, it is time for
some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koalas